Advanced AI could also create serious problems if we're not careful. Millions of Americans could lose their jobs to automation. Terrorist groups could use AI to build dangerous new weapons. And the Chinese government could steal American AI and use it to tighten its grip on power and try to dominate the globe. In the worst case scenario, advanced AI could even become smarter than people and replace us someday. That's why we're starting the Alliance for Secure AI. We are dedicated to protecting America's future and teaching people about the risks that come with advanced AI. Join us by visiting our website at secureainow.org. Paid for by the Alliance for Secure AI.
Here's a brief message from industry. This ad is brought to you by GSK. We invite you to visit hcp-myelofibrosis-treatment.com to explore data and resources. That's hcp-myelofibrosis-treatment.com. Thanks for listening to the message from industry.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you're going to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Jamie Whitten in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
Beltway heading through Tyson's absolutely jammed. We have the crash on the inner loop after the toll road. The right half of the roadway blocked. Tractor trailer involved. Inside the Beltway, the crash 66 westbound at the Dulles Connector Road over to the right shoulder. It gave us big delays coming out of Arlington, so residual slowdowns through there. Albany, the crash involved the overturn southbound George Avenue south of 108, and a new crash just reported on the southbound 270 spur near Democracy Boulevard. Now from Garage Door Repair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Canadian wildfire smoke returns today, so you might notice a little bit of a haze in the sky. Otherwise, seasonably warm afternoon highs in the mid-80s. Tomorrow, the hottest day of the year so far, with highs in the low 90s. We'll stay around 90 Friday. Cooler for the weekend with rain chances. I'm 7 News DC's Eileen Whalen.
Right now, it is 72 in Bailey's Crossroads, 75 at Reagan National. John Matthews, News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Chris Plant.
Even those who were out of step with what we are advocating, peaceful protest, did not create any violence. Nobody was shot. Nobody was killed. Get it in your head. And so when martial law is called, what are you going to say? I missed the point. Don't miss the point, you all. Don't think that somehow, because they called out the National Guard, there was violence. There was no violence.
Yes, Mad Maxine Waters of California. She is amazingly and appallingly a member of the United States House of Representatives, thanks to the party of criminals. The Democrat Party. They love crime. They love criminals. They love Luigi Mangione. They love them all. Very happy and wonderful Wednesday to you, and welcome back once again. We continue to be at 888-630-9625. Absolutely toll-free to you, our beloved listeners. Democrats, well, they imposed a curfew last night on Democrats because the rioting in the media. CBS News sent apparently their chief anchor, not exactly Walter Cronkite, out there sitting in the street yesterday. And they sent their anchorman out there to sit in the street with a satellite truck and all kinds of crew people and lighting and makeup and hair people. And then the anchor actually complained that this whole thing is being blown out of proportion. He didn't say by whom it was being blown out of proportion, but of course the answer is by him, as he complained that it was being blown out of proportion because the news media is demented. It reminds me of Terry Moran. Terry Moran, the ABC newsman and television guy and anchorman and Trump hater and Stephen Miller despiser. He was let go by ABC News yesterday, kind of an amazing development. And we have our great friends, the wonderful people at the Media Research Center. They operate Newsbusters as well. MRC, Brent Bozell's wonderful organization, the Bozell family's wonderful organization, great American family. And Media Research Center put together a little mashup, a little montage of Terry Moran being Terry Moran over the years, proving that he's a radical left-wing Democrat Party activist and not a journalist at all. And here it is. MRC put it together. I'm going to share that with you today because ABC was fine with everything he had been saying for years and years about Donald Trump and conservatives and Republicans and they were fine with all that until they had a situation where they thought they might be sued and lose tens of millions of dollars. They've got to give that money to George Stephanopoulos because they pay him $25 million a year. And he was not a journalist when they hired him. Of course, he was just a member of the Clinton administration and a longtime Democrat political operative who was then given this multi-million-dollar anchorman job on ABC Fake News, where they also pay the women of The View. ABC News does, not just ABC Network, but ABC News Division. They pay the alleged women, nobody's checked in a long time, of The View, who don't tell the truth. They don't tell the truth at all. And that's like Maxine Waters. We just opened with Mad Maxine, who is out of her ever-loving mind and a danger to civilization. These people are right out of the third world. They've crawled out of the third world ooze, and now they run the Democrat Party in the United States. Oh, we've got another Democrat, too, who yesterday was ranting and raving about how Los Angeles riots are no problem, and don't worry about that because it's not January 6th. He said it's not. They love January 6th. Boy, do they love January. Boy, do I wish that 2 hours of rough play had not happened because then they'd still have nothing, absolutely nothing, zero to point to in 200 years of not quite of the Republican Party. They'd have nothing to point to at all except taking their slaves away in the Civil War. But they took care of that. They shot Abraham Lincoln in the head and killed him at a theater. That's one of the things about the Democrats. That's how they respond quite frequently. Amazingly stuff. But this Democrat House member, he said that, what did he say, Michael? Five people were killed, he said, on, Joe Biden. There's some Joe Biden matching audio on that because he, too, over the years said that 6 people were killed and 5 people were killed, and they're all police officers. And the Democrat Party produces a lot of pathological liars, and the Democrats elect them to Congress because, they don't have that many governor's mansions to put them in. Aren't they amazing? Yes, sir. So we've got updates for you on this, but it's not just that. I got Greta von Thunberg. Greta von Thunberg was deported by Israel, and they deported her to France, which is kind of funny. Here you have her, and she's out there, and they put her kind of almost in the bathroom on the airplane on an El Al flight, and it was great because when the flight landed, they got a round of applause from the passengers for deporting this rapscallion, this little fake child prophet of apocalyptic doom, kind of like David Hogg. They should get married, don't you think? And see if they could reproduce and produce scaly things, remarkable stuff. But she got it upside, and they put her right next to the bathroom. It was like a jump seat. Not only did it not recline because it was up against the bathroom and in the back row, but it was like a jump seat that you find on an Air Force plane, barely even a seat at all. And they sent her back to, they sent her not back. She's not from France, although I think she sailed a yacht there once, didn't she? She loves sailing on yachts. And they put her on an airplane. And there's a fun, what is it, the Babylon Bee making fun of her, putting her on an airplane, the torture that must have represented. wonderful stuff because, she's anti-global warming, climate change, all that good stuff. You people, you Democrat people. So the riots in L.A., mysterious riot gear handed out to L.A. protesters raises questions. Even Newsweek magazine had it because the Fox News TV station in Los Angeles got video of organized Democrats, and you're never going to believe it. It turns out that the organization is a radical left-wing organization that loves terrorism and violence and crime. And we, the American taxpayers, have been giving the organization millions and millions of our dollars. You know why? Because of Democrats, because the corrupt organization, they should be covered by RICO, called the Democrat Party. And millions and millions of dollars have gone to this radical left-wing group that's out there handing out riot gear, and they're masked like terrorists. And the Democrat Party has made sure that we, the taxpayers, have been funding this radical group with tens of millions of our dollars. The Democrat Party might have to be declared a terrorist organization and disbanded in the United States of America because they're a criminal enterprise. They're a daily violation of RICO statutes. I've got to say, got that going. Also, President Trump was at Fort Bragg, once again called Fort Bragg and not Fort Hunter Biden or whatever the Democrats changed it to. And they got, their crack troops at Fort Hunter Biden. It's a little Fort Hunter Biden crack reference there. But President Trump was there at Fort Bragg, which the Democrats renamed. They did rename it something because turned out a lot of bases had been named after Democrats, and they were all part of racist lynch mobs when the Democrats named the bases, and they're all Democrats, every one of them, Confederate Democrats. The Democrats were the Confederate States of America in the American Civil War. But the violent mob in the streets of LA, there was a curfew last night. And you see the mounted police, the horse police, police on horseback out there, pushing away the lunatics, the mental cases, and fun stuff. They want to defund the police and the horses. You see, they have to put shields around the horses' faces and the horses' eyes because the Democrats will attack the horses because the Democrat Party is not well. And these illegal alien gang members that the Democrats all want their daughters to date, the Democrats don't want them kicked out of the country. They want them sent to your neighborhood to commit more crimes because the Democrat Party is not on the side of civilization. They're the left. They're basically communists. Most of them are too stupid to know that they've been brainwashed and now they're glassy-eyed zombies of doom. But never mind that. Yeah, so who's handing out the riot gear and who's funding them? The Daily Caller has a great story. How well-funded, organized leftists helped jumpstart L.A. riots. This is 100% on the Democrat Party, all of it. And then they have idiot members of Congress come out and say, oh, yeah? Well, 5 people were killed on January 6th. Ashley Babbitt was shot and killed after serving 12 years in the Air Force by a racist cop, Michael Byrd. And he was promoted and championed by the Democrat Party as a hero of shooting unarmed white women who might have been accused of trespassing. Maybe but shoot and kill. They should put signs up around the Capitol. U.S. Capitol Police will shoot to kill without warning. And that's because that's the Democrat Party. Now, if it were George Floyd and Ashley Babbitt had been a career criminal junkie, committing another felony and resisting arrest, then the Democrats would be really upset if she were killed. But since she served 12 years honorably in the United States Air Force and wasn't kicked out for repeated cocaine abuse like Hunter Biden was kicked out of the Navy for cocaine abuse, no big deal. Amazing stuff. Gavin Newsom hits back at Trump in prime time address. It's like the Communist Party, information dominance. Hey, I'm going to come out and lie to you. Will you put me on live in prime time? Oh, you bet we will. That we're going to go out and burn a Tesla. Let's go out and burn something. Amazing stuff. So Gavin Newsom, prime time address, the Democrat Party propaganda owning the information landscape. It's really the Soviet Union is here. They just changed their name to the Democratic Party, which is not democratic at all. So we've got that. That's good stuff. And Vivek Ramaswamy, Gavin Newsom starting to resemble George Wallace. And Vivek Ramaswamy put together a fun video where he explains the similarities between the racist Alabama governor George Wallace, segregationist, standing in the schoolhouse door, as all schoolhouse door blockers were, another Democrat. And by the way, a volunteer for his presidential campaign, shot and killed Martin Luther King. And that doesn't rub off on him at all because Democrats. And George Wallace was later shot by a would-be assassin and left paralyzed. What is usually left out of that is the would-be assassin actually wanted to assassinate Richard Nixon because, you know, they call themselves liberals, I think. He wanted to assassinate Richard Nixon, and he stalked Richard Nixon, but found the Secret Service was going to be too much of a challenge, so he changed the focus of his ire. And in Laurel, Maryland, not too far from here, he shot and nearly killed Governor George Wallace, who had been running for president again and again. But never mind that. And then his volunteers shot and killed Martin Luther King. Amazing stuff. Yes, sir. And at the Atlantic magazine, because they've got a lot of issues over there, Hitler, the headline begins with the word Hitler. You know, you're always off to the races when the Democrats start with the word Hitler in their headline. Hitler, this is great, used a bogus crisis of, quote, public order, end quote, to make himself dictator. The Atlantic, the dictator. That's when Barack Obama meets a potato. That's amazing stuff. Hitler used a bogus crisis. Oh, is that what happened? He was also the Socialist Workers' Party. Sounds kind of like Bernie Sanders and you guys in the streets, and the black shirts and the brown shirts terrorizing the Jews on college campuses, especially Ivy League college campuses, where all you media swanks went. And honestly, the Hitler comparisons are great. While they're firebombing the home of the Jewish governor in Pennsylvania, while they're inviting illegal aliens in that are using blowtorches on Jewish marchers, pro-Israeli marchers, Molotov cocktails. The guy set himself on fire a little bit, but not enough. The Democrats invited him into the country because they're so much like Nazis that they shouldn't be allowed to use the word anymore, at least until they start talking about themselves. Speaking of the Democrats, they started looting the jewelry district yesterday in Los Angeles, California. But the police were preoccupied with the left-wing protests on the streets of Los Angeles. So the Democrat mobs, racists that they are, they attacked jewelry stores. And a nice immigrant man there in Los Angeles said he thinks he's probably going to be put out of business. He's an immigrant. The Democrats care very deeply about illegal aliens. But if you're a legal immigrant, you've built a business, you're raising a family, the Democrats want to burn you down. That's the Democrat Party. What's the matter with these people? Anti-ICE protests expand to New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, and beyond because they like to nationalize their terrorism. And, of course, Gavin Newsom's talking about civil war, and so is The View. Isn't that amazing stuff? Yeah, we've got an update on LaMonica MacGyver. She's a Democrat member of Congress, too, assaulting federal officers to defend illegal aliens. The poll number is not doing very well for the Democrats. I consider that to be almost tertiary, but and all of the illegal aliens in the country planning terrorist attacks, the Democrats invite them in. 888-630-9625.
There's only one Chris Plant. The Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
WMAL traffic from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. What you need to know here, Virginia Beltway, right half of the roadway remains blocked with a crash on the inner loop after the toll road. We're jammed back near 50 Arlington Boulevard. Pressure is on for 66 and the toll road to merge into those backups. Outer loop delays as you come off at 270 to cross the American Legion Bridge near the Washington Monument. 15th Street is closed between Constitution and Independence Avenue in preparation for the parade this weekend. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Spring Watch 7 forecast.
Sunny but hazy today with a high of 87. Clear skies overnight, low 67.
Hey, if you have ugly, yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflush.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe, and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflush.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflush.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflush.com.
Here's a brief message from industry. This ad is brought to you by GSK. We invite you to visit hcp-myelofibrosis-treatment.com to explore data and resources. That's hcp-myelofibrosis-treatment.com.
Thanks for listening to the message from industry.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Host. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethost.com/terms.
I'm Kiana, and I leveled up my business with Shopify. Once I figured out that Shopify was a thing, I never turned back. I can create a site with my eyes closed. Shopify thinks ahead of us, and it thinks about the customer more than anything. Every day I'm thinking about some other new business, but Shopify is doing it to me because it's so easy to use. It's like I can't stop. I'm addicted.
Start your free trial at shopify.com.
Honey, can you lock the door?
You got it.
There's a big difference between pretty good protection.
All of the locks, please. System armed.
And superior protection. Castrol GTX Full Synthetic is engineered for superior protection in 7 critical areas. Castrol GTX Full Synthetic. Better oil for superior protection.
Intruder detected. Initiating flamethrowers.
Kidney disease is devastating the Black community. We're more likely to have diabetes and high blood pressure, the leading causes of kidney disease. We're more likely to be on dialysis and less likely to get a kidney transplant. I'm Dr. Silas Norman. As a kidney transplant physician, I'm telling you that kidney failure is often preventable. Talk to your doctor. Get your kidneys checked, please.
We're the American Kidney Fund. We believe in kidney health for all. Visit kidneyhealthforall.org.
WMAL, making sense of the forecast, because you never know what Mother Nature has in store. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
All right, let us go to the telephones, Michael, and speak to the nice people at 888-630-9625. I've got a Greta Thunberg update. Wonderful story in the Washington Free Beacon today. Genocide at 40,000 feet. I want to get into that because it's funny and it's good stuff. Right now, let's go to the telephones. Let's go to William calling from Manassas, Virginia. William, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, thanks for taking my call. So a comment you made earlier about, I think there was some of the, one of the people out in the streets over, they have armor and riot gear, whatever. I mean, I don't know the law particularly, but I mean, is it illegal to have that equipment?
Illegal to wear body armor? Probably not. Maybe if you're in the commission of a crime, it would be an added an enhancer on other charges pressed against you. No, but I think it's probably legal to wear body armor. But when you have an organization, the reason I mention it, Willie, is because there's video of these organizers with masks on unloading a truck and passing these things to leftists lining up to collect their riot supplies. And then the question, William, becomes who is paying for that, right? Because it looks like there is a well-funded organization that's very much involved in the street violence in LA. And we'd want to know the answer to that, right?
I mean, yeah, if there was some organization that was deliberately like behind the violence there, but I don't know if there's like how much. Again, I haven't been. I'm sure you've watched and been watching the reporters and everything a lot more than I have, given your job, whatever. But I don't know how many of the looting and stuff is done by people wearing body armor.
Right. No, listen, we're talking about body armor and other riot supplies being distributed by masked people in the midst of the violence and the chaos. Since you brought it up again, William, I'll tell you what, I'll explain just ahead.
This is the Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
WMAL traffic from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. What you need to know here, Virginia Beltway, right half of the roadway remains blocked with a crash on the inner loop back to the toll road. We're jammed back near 50 Arlington Boulevard. Pressure is on for 66 and the toll road can merge into those backups. Outer loop delays as you come off at 270 to cross the American Legion Bridge. Near the Washington Monument, 15th Street is closed between Constitution and Independence Avenue in preparation for the parade this weekend. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Sunny but hazy today with high of 87. Clear skies overnight, low 67.
Hi, Tom Selleck here. In 1980, when Magnum started, that was the first time I really ever had any discretionary income. And that's when I first started buying gold. A friend of mine recommended Goldco, and I gave him a try. And I gotta say, I wasn't sorry. Look, you can go to tomlikesgoldco.com to see if gold and silver are right for you. That's tomlikesgoldco.com.
The fear of injections and their side effects keeps some people from getting their hepatitis C cured, but that's just old news about other medicines. The good news is today's Hep C treatments are different. They're not injections, often are just one pill daily, and don't have the harsh side effects of previous medicines. So don't be afraid to talk to a healthcare provider about getting your Hep C cured. To learn more, visit treathepcnow.com.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Sponsored by Rumble. Join millions who trust Rumble's top live streaming personalities to break down the news that matters in real time. Miss the live stream? Catch the full video replay on demand with zero censorship. Download the Rumble app from your Apple Play or Google Play store today and choose from thousands of creators covering everything from financial markets to daily events and more. Choose an open internet and free expression. Choose rumble.com today.
Let's move. We have soccer practice, dance, and a play date.
Life moves fast, so every second counts, especially when it comes to big decisions like buying a car. That's why searching through Navy Federal's car buying service powered by TrueCar is a perfect place to start.
Thanks, Mom.
Navy Federal can help you find and finance the right vehicle so you can go wherever life takes you. Visit NavyFederal.org/TrueCar to learn more. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA. Credit and collateral subject to approval.
When it comes to Father's Day, dads want steak. And there's still time to deliver uncompromising quality and flavor with delicious gifts from America's original butcher, Omaha Steaks. Plus, get an extra $35 off with code THANKSDAD when you shop at omahasteaks.com today. Hurry, there's still time to give Dad something incredible for the big day. Shop now at omahasteaks.com and get an extra $35 off with code THANKSDAD. Minimum purchase may apply. See site for details.
Honey, can you lock the door?
You got it.
There's a big difference between pretty good protection
All of the locks, please. System armed.
and superior protection. Castrol GTX Full Synthetic is engineered for superior protection in 7 critical areas. Castrol GTX Full Synthetic. Better oil for superior protection.
Intruder detected. Initiating flamethrowers.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
WMAL, making sense of the roads, because traffic doesn't always follow the pattern. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
All right, now we know that the left is very organized and that they have contempt for human life and for civil order. That they're the left, they're anarchists. They shoot people and burn things. That's the Democrat Party. We did a segment on this very topic on my television show last night on the Newsmax channel at 10 p.m. Eastern. At 7 o'clock on the West Coast, if everything goes as planned. But there are good stories on the topic also from the Daily Caller, and Newsweek magazine has kind of a fake story on it. But they give it a headline anyway. Mysterious riot gear. The riot gear is not mysterious, so the first word in the Newsweek story is false in their headline. Mysterious riot gear handed out to LA protesters raises questions. I think it raises questions to you. It raises questions. The Newsweek magazine, people, pretty funny. TV cameras, and it was the Fox News local station, Channel 11, Fox 11 in Los Angeles, I believe, that we played for you yesterday. And they, in fact, we did use it yesterday, but it's worth using again today because it's about the media. And only a Fox News local station, and we were reporting it on Newsmax last night as well. CBS, NBC, ABC, CNN, they're hiding from this. They're not reporting it. But we did play
Animals
this segment
and
from
humans
the
eat
local
plants.
Los Angeles Fox station last night with the videotape that they captured on the streets of a truckload of leftists handing out riot gear to the rioters so that they may more effectively riot in the streets of Los Angeles. And again, most of our news media, the overwhelming majority, doesn't care because they're covering it up. They're not covering it. And Newsweek magazine with the story, TV cameras have captured boxes of bionic shields. They're bionic shields being distributed to protesters in Los Angeles on Monday. Footage of the scene showed boxes of solid, full face masks, almost akin to helmets, being handed out from the back of a pickup truck by 2 women, while a masked driver waited for them to unload the goods. They call them goods. The footage has sparked concerns among some, but not Democrats, that external agitators are facilitating riots by equipping crowds for potential clashes with the police or National Guard. However, and here they jump right in to defend the communist murderer, violent mob of criminals who ought to be in penitentiaries. However, others say the masks are safety gear. No, it's just safety gear. Yeah, when the communists attacked across from the north of the 38th parallel into South Korea, they were also wearing helmets and gear for the same reason. It's safety gear. The communists were invading, and the news media, Newsweek magazine, said, oh, no, they found somebody. It's safety gear. However, others say the masks are safety gear, worn as a precaution after protesters were injured. That's because they're violently attacking the police in mobs while they're looting and burning and stealing jewelry from jewelry store and the Apple store. You see, they looted out the Apple store, too. It's hard to feel too bad about that, but somebody probably owns it. They were injured by rubber bullets that authorities fired. This is, can you believe these people? They immediately turned to defending the rioters and the people handing out the riot gear because the left. Now, when we talked about it last night, turns out there is a on the Newsmax show on the Right Squad at 10 p.m. There's a taxpayer-funded group that is behind this. The Los Angeles riots looking more organized. And wait a minute, who's behind these riots? Now, there are multiple news reports that have dug into this, not the New York Times, the Washington Post, or CNN, or 60 Minutes, or ABC News with George Stephanopoulos, but there's a taxpayer-funded group called the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. The Coalition for Humane Immigrant. You mean illegal immigrant rights. You mean giving gift baskets to gang members who are here to rape, kill, loot, and plunder. And this group is called CHIRLA, CHIRLA, right? Because it's the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. And how that becomes CHIRLA, nobody knows. But they're not literate people. CHIRLA has received millions of dollars by way of government grants, our taxpayer dollars. According to their 2023 tax returns, $34 million have gone to this group called CHIRLA, right? And grant records show that the Department of Homeland Security, under Democrats and the permanent bureaucracy, granted this radical left-wing organization, $1.2 million for what they said would be citizenship instruction and naturalization application service. So they want gang members and cartel members to be ushered through the process so they can kill here for the rest of their lives and be criminals here. Now, the Trump administration actually cut off funding to CHIRLA in March because they were informed reliably and correctly, and they found out that this is basically a terrorist front group for the Democrat Party. And as we reported last night on the Right Squad, the cherry on top of all this, CHIRLA also solicits donation online, wait a minute, by way of Act Blue. Act Blue, a big-time mainstream Democrat Party fundraising organization. And that organization, Act Blue, is right now under federal investigation. Act Blue took a few dollars from the man that shot Donald Trump through the ear in Butler, Pennsylvania. And who else? Oh, I think the guy in Florida that wanted to shoot Donald Trump at the golf course also gave money to Act Blue. It's a Democrat Party front group because, the left is here. And the left kills and destroys and burns and loots and plunders because they're not liberals. Isn't that amazing? So CHIRLA says they deny being behind the insurrection, right? But as we had on our TV show last night, Laura Powell, who is an attorney for civil rights, and she's also with an organization called Californians for Good Governance. Good luck with that. But her name is Laura Powell, and she was asked, hey, wait a minute, what about this organization, CHIRLA, and they're raising money through Act Blue, and they get tens of millions in taxpayer dollars, government grants, because the Democrat Party funds anti-American terrorist groups that are handing out riot supplies in Los Angeles in the middle of the riots. But Laura Powell is on the side of truth, justice, and the American way.
What I uncovered was how connected they are to the Democrat establishment in California, Mayor Bass of Los Angeles is very connected to them. They've supported her. She's bragged about helping them get federal funding in the past. A whole slew, really. I mean, they endorsed Kamala Harris. Of course, Gavin Newsom, Adam Schiff has talked about them. They can't directly endorse candidates because they're a 501c3, but they have a 501c4 that they use for those candidate endorsements. They also sponsor a lot of legislation at the state level.
Yes, and they're a Democrat Party front group. And they've got a 501c3, so they can't engage in politics. So they also create a 501c4. You need a team of accountants and former IRS officials so that they can support Democrats. And then they can support riots and violence and mayhem and absolute anarchy. Aren't they amazing? Yeah, man, oh, man. And also in the middle of the riots, they've got Democrat Party allies like the head of the Service Employees International Union, the SEIU, because one of their big bosses was arrested while he was, starting the fire in Los Angeles. Well-funded activists and coordinated social media campaign helped spark the pro-illegal migrant protests on Friday that descended into days of rioting in Los Angeles. The good people of the Daily Caller have the story, and Hudson Crozier has the story at the Daily Caller. Left-wing groups posted calls to action with a location to gather on Friday in unison after the arrest of local Service Employee International Union leader on Friday. He was in the middle of defending illegal aliens. Union people, they want more cheap labor to lower their value in the marketplace, to reduce the amount of money that they'll be paid, which makes no sense, of course, but then they're going to burn your car. So the subsequent uprising echoed scenes of the Black Lives Matter riots in 2020, which brought left-wing radical activists such as professional legal observers into the streets during a wave of protests that led to fires, looting, vandalism, and deaths across the country as the organization's leaders enriched themselves. Boy, did they, with millions. In fact, Black Lives Matter raised billions of dollars, literally billions. And they found their leaders are buying mansions in LA and in Canada. They bought the old Communist Party headquarters building in Canada. It's a big mansion because communists in the West, communists everywhere like to live in other people's big mansions, So the amazing stuff they've got going on here. Fox News' Bill Malugin reported on Sunday the protesters were being provided with earplugs, gas masks, water bottles that were then hurled at the police, and they bring in pallets of frozen water bottles, the plastic water bottles, drinking water. And when they're frozen, they're really just a rock, and you throw them at the police, and then you challenge the police to beat you up with a stick, and then you're a victim because you're Rodney King, or if you're really lucky, you can become George Floyd, because they'd really love to have a George Floyd moment in the middle of all this. The left would. Amazing stuff. So the FBI is investigating any and all monetary connections responsible for these riots, FBI Director Kash Patel said on Monday night. Now, as the chaos built up, activist groups and major labor union fanned the flames of the anti-ICE, sovereignty, anti-independent nation movement, because they're communist anarchists who want a body count. So the union people and the lefties fomenting resistance to law enforcement in the streets and online. The SEIU California President David Huerta helped kick off the tumultuous weekend by getting arrested during ICE raids on Friday morning. He's there defending the illegal and gangs and crimes and cartels and rioting and looting, because he's just a run-of-the-mill leftist, and he's the SEIU president in California, David Huerta. The Department of Justice says that Huerta tried to obstruct federal agents who were executing a lawful judicial warrant while ICE conducted raids in Los Angeles, of course. An affidavit accuses Huerta, the SEIU guy, of conspiracy to impede an officer by directing others to block the path of law enforcement vehicles. Now, if you did this to an abortion clinic and you're a 75-year-old grandmother, the Democrats would put you in prison for years, literally for years. which they did here in Washington, D.C. 75-year-old grandmother, 2 years in a penitentiary because she prayed outside an abortion clinic where Democrats were clubbing babies to death like they're harp seals and harvesting their organs. So the SEIU said Huerta was exercising his First Amendment right to observe and document law enforcement activity. He was obstructing. He should be nightstick to the ground, tasered, and then dragged away in cuffs with leg restraints, like Peter Navarro was at the airport for nothing at all. So aligned activist groups and local SEIU chapters began posting announcements on Friday morning on the platform like X and Blue Sky and Instagram, telling people to come to a downtown Los Angeles federal building at 4 p.m. This is where they started obstructing. This is why when the police didn't respond, they're attacking a federal building where the president, the federal government, and the National Guard come in, you see. Amazing stuff. So the Democrat Party and this organization, Shurla, a left-wing, immigrant-focused, alleged nonprofit where everybody gets rich, received nearly $34 million in government grants in 2023 just in 1 year, under the Biden administration. So Biden is funding these terrorist riots, the violence in Los Angeles, funded by Joe Biden and the Democrats, who are inciting it, encouraging it, funding it, supplying it. And again, the Daily Caller citing the tax filings. They have a link to their tax filings. And the group, once again, did not respond to a request for comment because why would they? They're busy burning and looting and doing all that Democrat Party stuff. Aren't they amazing? Man, oh man. All right, let's grab a quick phone call. So and again, Joe Biden is funding this. The Democrats are tens of millions of our dollars to fund the organizers of the riots, the inciters of the riots in Los Angeles. And now spreading across the country, just in mostly peaceful protest till they start blowing stuff up. Let's go to Jim calling from Woodstock, Virginia. Jimmy, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Big Chris, I love your show. Hey, first I want to say, yes, you can say these people, and yes, you can say query on the radio. but anyway, I wondered why the FBI can infiltrate these law-abiding gun owner groups and militias and things like that, but we never hear that they infiltrated these groups that are supplying the goods to the rioters.
It's a taxpayer-funded Democrat organization, and the permanent bureaucracy at the Justice Department and the FBI for years now has proved itself to be a political organization in the service of the left and the Democrat Party. And I got to say, Jim, I'm very hopeful now with new leadership at the White House and at the FBI and the Justice Department that all that is going to change. And I got to, our most senior government officials should hold a press conference today, laying out this organization and their involvement and the taxpayer dollars going to them. And again, the one local station in Los Angeles caught them on videotape, aiding, abetting, assisting. And this is, Joe Biden, whoever in the Biden administration, advocated for giving tens of millions of our dollars to this organization. They should probably all be charged with felony crimes pre-dawn raids with network camera crews across the street, like Roger Stone's house, and drag them away. These people are involved in a nationwide criminal conspiracy against the United States of America. It's an insurrection, among other things. But Jim, very good question. And you're right, the word query is fun. And it's like question, but just more fun. It's a query. And these people, I think I'm going to start using those people.
We have people handing out masks and gas masks, and we just saw people graffitiing the sidewalk right in front of this truck, and we've seen people doing burnouts in the street. There's no local law enforcement around.
You're listening to The Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
WMAL traffic from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. Late delays on the Virginia Beltway. Those of you pushing through Merrifield, delays are now before 50 Arlington Boulevard, and that takes you stop and go past the toll road. Crash near the Georgetown Pike blocks the right lane. 66, the toll road, and even the Georgetown Pike, very heavy approaching the Beltway. Outer loop slow off the 270 spur across the American Legion Bridge. Bridges into town were still hung up. 395 northbound bunched up before Boundary Channel. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Sunny but hazy today with a high of 87. Clear skies overnight, low 67.
Sponsored by Rumble. Want to join 59 million others who are tuning in to a fresh alternative to mainstream news and information that isn't delivered with an agenda? Enjoy your daily dose of happenings from a platform that fights to protect your free speech. Download the Rumble app from your Apple Play or Google Play Store today and choose from thousands of creators covering everything from financial markets to daily events and more. Choose an open internet and free expression. Choose rumble.com today.
Are you annoyingly inattentive? Do you watch a movie and then ask a zillion questions because you weren't paying attention? Do people ask, how do you sleep at night? Then you should get a mattress from Mattress Firm. They can help anyone sleep. Mattress Firm's July 4th sale is on now. Get a king bed for a queen price and save up to $700. Plus, get a free adjustable base with select Sealy mattresses. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Every 15 seconds, someone is diagnosed with cancer. If it's happened to you or someone you love, the American Cancer Society can help at every step of the journey. Visit cancer.org today.
For a local news source you can trust, visit WMAL.com.
Thank God for that.
Get the day's top stories. Stream your favorite WMAL shows. Access our podcast archives and more. WMAL.com. Making sense of your world online.
Bright Focus Foundation's Alzheimer's Disease Research Program is paving the way for a cure. Learn about symptoms, diagnosis, and breakthrough research at brightfocus.org or call us at 1-855-345-6237 for free resources.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Trip Planner by Expedia. You were made to have strong opinions about sand. We were made to help you and your friends find a place on the beach with a pool and a marina and a waterfall and a soaking tub. Expedia, made to travel.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
If you're a renter, you should be taking advantage of Built. Built racks up points on groceries, travel, and nearly everything else. There's no cost to join, and just by paying rent, you unlock flexible points that can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, and more. Start paying rent through Built by going to joinbuilt.com/cats. That's JOINBILT.com/KATZ. Make sure you use our URL so they know we sent you. Joinbuilt.com/cats to sign up for Built today. When it comes to Father's Day, some things never change. Dads want steak. And there's still time to deliver uncompromising quality and flavor with delicious gifts from Omaha Steaks. Plus, get an extra $35 off with code THANKSDAD when you shop omahasteaks.com today. Being your dad means he already has everything he could want. But just picture the look on his face when he sees those extra-aged USDA-certified tender steaks, juicy air-chilled chicken, beefy burgers, and more. With carefully curated gift packages from America's original butcher, it's never been easier to show everyone why you're Dad's favorite. And every bite is 100% guaranteed to bring a thrill to the king of the grill. Hurry, there's still time to give Dad something incredible for Father's Day. Shop now at omahasteaks.com and get an extra $35 off with code THANKSDAD. Minimum purchase may apply. See site for details.
WMAL, making sense of social media because big tech can't be trusted. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Yes. Got an update for you on Democrats' transgender sports, too, because they're all gender dysphoric as well. Some news media, like Newsmax TV, actually covering what's going on in Los Angeles. CBS News, fake covering it, complaining that it's being covered while they're covering it because they don't want to blow. It's just a small area of only a small area of Japan was hit with a nuclear bomb by a Democrat president, but never mind that. Great Newsmax reporter Rob Finnerty in the streets of Los Angeles. What's going on there?
First rioters broke into a downtown Los Angeles Apple store, the biggest one in California, which we suppose was mostly peaceful looting, I guess. After that, the mostly peaceful looters went to the Adidas store down the street because you got to have nice kicks when you're going to make a phone call. After that, they took down a marijuana dispensary and then a pharmacy and then a jewelry store, and then we lost track. One of
the, I think it was the jewelry store, a number of jewelry stores were hit. They hit there's a jewelry area. I did not know this in Los Angeles, but I'm not surprised. And it was hit targeting the city's jewelry district. And one of the owners, an immigrant man, said, well, I'm wrecked now. I'm out of business now. Everything was stolen. I don't have that much insurance. The Democrats destroyed me.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News at 10. Good morning. I'm John Matthews. Some writer's remorse this morning from Elon Musk concerning his X posts about President Trump.
Last night, he posts on X, I regret some of my posts about President Donald Trump last week. They went too far. Musk had ripped into President Trump and the Republicans' big, beautiful bill and claimed without him and his massive financial support, Democrats would have swept November's elections. Musk is also now deleting some of those posts from last week, like in light of President's statement about cancellation of my government contracts. SpaceX will begin decommissioning its Dragon spacecraft immediately. Musk did walk that one back last week. And time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump's in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they've not been made public.
Fox News' Rich Edson. For the first time in several nights, relative quiet overnight in Los Angeles.
The curfew for downtown LA appears to be holding, other than the arrest of about 24 protesters who refused to comply. Mayor Karen Bass warned that would happen.
My message to you is, if you do not live or work in downtown LA, avoid the area. Law enforcement will arrest individuals who break the curfew.
Fox News' Carmen Roberts reporting there's been no public view yet of the 700 active Marines called into Los Angeles. As President Trump combats the chaos in LA, he is demanding serenity for his big Saturday military fest here in D.C.
This is people that hate our country, but they will be met with very heavy force.
Saturday's celebration, coinciding with the president's 79th birthday, marks the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army.
We have tanks, we have planes, we have all sorts of things. And I think it's going to be great. We're going to celebrate our country for a change.
Officials say they are expecting a handful of protests, but barricades, fencing, and other security features are going up along the parade route. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
It appears the case of a Gainesville teenager who disappeared in Tysons last week has been tragically solved after a body was found in a nearby pond.
Well, close family friends of 19-year-old Kyle Coleman say he is no longer with us. And while we're still waiting for police to confirm it was his body found in the pond, friends and community members gathered here at Battlefield High School in his memory.
He was smart. He was genius.
An emotional evening as loved ones honored Kyle, holding candles and wiping tears. He had been missing since Friday when his car was found crashed and still running without him inside.
7 News' Liana Golden. VDOT's plan to expand express lanes from Springfield to the Wilson Bridge is not sitting well with Alexandria officials.
What is being proposed is not aligned with the goals that we've set out.
Mayor Leah Gaskins and Alexandria have committed to various policies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, sustainable travel, and to eliminate traffic deaths. So the VDOT idea for express lanes from Springfield to the Wilson Bridge on the Beltway would actually expand highway capacity by 40%.
We think that additional conversation, especially conversation that respects local goals, would result in something that would be much better for our residents and for the region.
VDOT will talk more about their plans in Alexandria today. Scotland on WMAL and WMAL.com.
The Dow is up 62 points. NASDAQ is up 33. Traffic and weather next.
Expert entrepreneur Ed Milet is on a mission to max out your life.
I'm going to give you a term, QTR, quality time remaining. Your dreams that you think you're going to get around to doing it, but you don't do very much. Start your QTR list, at least with yourself, and start creating more quality time remaining moments because you've got limited time left. Start talking about it to change your life. Man, it might change the world if we get enough of this out there. God bless you.
The Ed Milet Show. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Pay rent with Built to earn flexible, transferable points and unlock exclusive benefits. There's no cost to join, and just by paying rent, you unlock flexible points that can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and more. When you pay rent through Built, you unlock 2 powerful benefits. First, you earn one of the industry's most valuable points on rent every month. No matter where you live or who your landlord is, your rent now works for you. Second, you gain access to exclusive neighborhood benefits in your city. Built's neighborhood benefits are things like extra points on dining out, complimentary post-workout shakes, free mats or towels at your favorite fitness studios, and unique experiences that only Built members can access. And when you're ready to travel, Built points can be converted to your favorite miles and hotel points around the world, meaning your rent can literally take you places. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, what are you waiting for? Start paying rent through Built and take advantage of your neighborhood benefits by going to joinbuilt.com/WWO. That's JOINBILT.com/WWO. Make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. Joinbuilt.com/WWO to sign up for Built today.
Steve Hirshhorn in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
Around the Beltway, you'll still find it slow on the outer loop. Old Georgetown Road, cross the American Legion Bridge down toward the George Washington Parkway. Then you slow again from the Dulles Toll Road heading south on 495 down toward I-66. 270 Spur near Democracy Boulevard. The accident there's cleared away, but the spur is still pretty heavy from Democracy Boulevard down to the merge with the outer loop of 495. The Beltway, Montgomery County, southbound Georgia Avenue at Route 108. The accident cleared. Everything there is now open. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Canadian wildfire smoke returns today, so you might notice a little bit of a haze in the sky. Otherwise, seasonably warm afternoon highs in the mid-80s. Tomorrow, the hottest day of the year so far, with highs in the low 90s. We'll stay around 90 Friday. Cooler for the weekend with rain chances. I'm 7 News DC's Eileen Whalen.
79 at Reagan National. John Matthews, News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Chris Plant.
Remember, millions of people were allowed to come into our country totally unchecked and unvetted by stupid people or radical left people or sick people. But regardless, open border policy, the dumbest policy yet. I would say even dumber than men playing in women's sports, transgender for everyone. Even dumber than that.
I think what he's talking about there, kind of talking around it and around it, we're talking about Democrats. That's what we're talking about. The Democratic Party, which isn't democratic at all. Hey, where's Ilhan Omar's daughter with the death to the colonial empire patter over here? A very good Wednesday morning to you and welcome back. We remain at 888-630-9625. Today is Wednesday. It's hump day in the Clinton household. Hillary Clinton maintaining the family tradition, waking up face down in a pool of road dried vomit once again. This hump day, knowing that today she has to get out of the house early because Bill needs the mansion to himself every hump day. Doesn't matter which mansion they're in. Hillary peeling her face off of the linoleum floor from her dried vomit. Secret Service standing over her, arms akimbo, shaking their heads. What a shame, what a shame. What might have been, but thankfully was not. Isn't that wonderful? I've got a lot of news for you today because there's a lot going on. We've got the FBI director, Kash Patel. He's suing MSDNC, MS-13 DNC, a columnist at MSDNC over false nightclub claims. About Kash Patel being out catting around nightclubs and the communists at MS-13 DNC. They lie about these things and they're fine with that. They're very comfortable with that indeed. We've got something that's kind of a fun development. It is Greta Thunberg, who was deported. Are the Democrats okay with deporting Greta Thunberg from Israel because she's a genocidal anti-Semite who's there to provide support to Hamas and, of course, complain about the climate? Because you know how she is. She's very, very concerned about the weather on the planet Earth could lead to really bad things like hurricanes, which never happened before the Democrats started complaining about them. Isn't that amazing? But Greta Thunberg deported by airplane. You know how she hates airplanes. She doesn't like those airplanes at all. To France, of all places, which is insult to injury, I think, all the way around. We've got an update for you on her because she's a great American hero, isn't she? She's wonderful, wonderful. And Elon Musk, he's got a Twitter account. He calls it X, like one of his kids. He calls one of his kids X, too. He's got a Twitter account, Elon Musk, and he tweeted yesterday, "I regret some of my posts about President Donald Trump last week. They went too far." That's what Elon Musk tweeted out. Wait a minute. Not all of them, not just some of them. He doesn't want to say he regrets every single one, but he regrets some of them. And Elon Musk wants to kiss and make up, wants to hold hands and dance into the sunrise because he's Elon Musk. He's got $400 billion. He's accustomed to doing what he wants and saying what he wants and all of that good stuff. But kind of a fun moment with Elon Musk. I regret some of my posts about President at real Donald Trump. Last week, they went too far. I would say that's probably true. Tom Fitton, the wonderful and great Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch, tweeting in response, "Any political differences aside, Donald Trump and Elon Musk surely know and agree that the left want to jail and kill them both. That is a tragic fact, a tragic truth. It is where the Democrat Party is today, to be sure. And Tom Fitton is right once again. He does such great work at Judicial Watch and the fine people at Judicial Watch doing great, great stuff. But Elon Musk weighing in, I regret some of my posts, not all of them. Pretty funny stuff, I've got to say. And it's getting a lot of attention, as you might expect, because he's the richest man in the world and Donald Trump is the most powerful man in the world. They had this little tete-a-tete, and now it appears to be behind them, which is good. Good stuff. Now, as for the Democrats, I was texting back and forth with a Catholic priest friend yesterday about the riots in Los Angeles, the Democrat Party riots in Los Angeles, the leftist riots in Los Angeles, the revolution in the United States, America, the organized, orchestrated, taxpayer-funded riots, thanks to Joe Biden and the left-wing group, to which he gave $34 million last year. Just last year, $34 million. President Trump cut off funding to the organization this year. But the Democrats, they fund the riots. The Democrat Party is behind everything terrible, pretty much. The Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights, they call themselves SHIRLA. Now, I don't know how you get Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights and you get SHIRLA from that. You have to leave out words and add words, and it's pretty amazing stuff. But they got $34 million from the Biden administration just last year. And SHIRLA raises money through the left-wing Democrat fundraising organization called Act Blue. Act Blue. Now, is that BLEW? How do they spell it? Because that's a bit different. So we've got that. Yes, we do. Also, today is Mailbag Day. Mailbag Day here on the Chris Planet. Not only does Hillary Clinton wake up face down in a pool of her own dried vomit every Wednesday morning, so Bill Clinton, and she leaves the house, so Bill Clinton can cat around right in front of her. But it's also Mailbag Day here on the Chris Plant Show. Hump Day over there, Mailbag Day over here, because so many good things going on. But I was texting, as I said, with a friend, a Catholic priest yesterday, and we were talking about the Democrats rioting because he's concerned about the state of the country. He's a great patriot, my friend, Catholic priest, and we're going back and forth. And he pointed out, he said, the Democrats, how they love rioting, they really love rioting. And, oh, no, you can't send in the National Guard, even though they do it all the time. They did it for Joe Biden's inauguration in Washington, D.C. They sent it in the riots in 1992 in Los Angeles when the Democrats were burning it down because of Rodney King, and a verdict by a jury, is they don't believe in democracy or juries or justice, or they're the left, they're violent. And mob political violence is their thing. But listen to this. As for the use of troops in riots, the 1967 riots in Detroit, where the Democrats were burning the place to the ground, one of the most destructive riots in the history of the United States. More than 7,000 National Guard troops were called out, and then an additional 4,700, so another 4,700. That's now way over 10,000 troops. Federal troops were deployed. And the violence there in those riots by the Democrats left 43 people dead. 43 people dead. Thousands of people arrested. Widespread destruction, millions and millions. And, the Democrat Party. That's your Democrat Party. They have a long history of violent, expensive, deadly riots where the National Guard and the military are called out because the left is a violent criminal organization, and they have taken over the Democrat Party, the immigrant, global, Davos, left. And that's who they are. Aren't they amazing? Yes, they are. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we got that going for us. And again, President Trump at Fort Bragg yesterday, which is called Fort Bragg again after Joe Biden and the Democrats stripped the name Fort Bragg off it because they found out it was named for another racist Democrat. And they're all Democrats, all the racists. Remember when Nancy Pelosi, she was lying yesterday too. Boy, she lies a lot, doesn't she? She's not a big fat liar. She's a wiry, skinny-ass, bony-ass liar. That's the kind of liar that she is. But isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. But the Democrat Party, they're doing it all. They really are. The MS-13 DNC with now Newsmax reporting FBI Director Kash Patel sues MSNBC columnist over false nightclub claims. FBI Director Kash Patel is suing an MS-13 NBC columnist who falsely alleged that Kash Patel spent more time in nightclubs than on the job. The New York Post has now reported. Frank Figliosi is the frothy, radical left-wing, former FBI guy, anti-Trump lunatic, knew his comments were a lie when he said them, when he made these comments. Patel's attorneys allege in the lawsuit, claiming that Kash Patel has not spent a single minute inside a nightclub since he took the job as FBI director, the New York Post reported. Citing the lawsuit, defendant did not rely on reporting by any other person, Kash Patel's attorney said. Defendant made up the story out of whole cloth. and by using the word reportedly, attempts to distance himself from what is a maliciously false and defamatory statement. Defendant fabricated his story to discredit FBI Director Kash Patel because of defendant's clear animus toward Director Patel. Now, Figliuzzi was a harsh critic of Kash Patel in his columns, calling his multiple columns one of the most ill-suited cabinet nominees, not just now, but of all time. The FBI's motto, fidelity, bravery, integrity. The record suggests that Patel doesn't possess any of those traits. Figliuzzi wrote, now he is, again, a former FBI guy, and naturally MSDNC loves him because he has Trump derangement syndrome well into the yin-yang.
Yeah, well, reportedly he's been visible at nightclubs far more than he has been on the 7th floor of the Hoover building. And there are reports that daily briefings to him have been changed from every day to maybe twice weekly. So this is both a blessing and a curse, because if he's really trying to run things without his experience, without any experience level, things could be bad.
So now he is being sued. I hope he's being sued for a great deal of money, knowingly making. And then NBC fake news should pay millions and millions of dollars as well, because they're not on the side of civilization. Also, the great people, the Washington Free Beacon, a wonderful story in the Free Beacon today by Andrew Stiles, with a funny picture of Greta von Thunberg looking very concerned, and an El Al airplane in the air. Genocide at 40,000 feet is the headline. Israel tortures autistic child with sandwiches. Flight on gas-guzzling jet. Devout climate activist survives excruciating ordeal involving single-use plastic and non-reclining seat. Good stuff. And Andrew Stiles puts a warning on the top of his article. Graphic images and descriptions of child torture may not be suitable for all readers. Please proceed accordingly. He's mocking the left-wing lunatics. The Jewish state of Israel has committed yet another genocidal war crime against humanity by sadistically torturing an autistic 22-year-old child aboard an El Al deportation flight on Tuesday. Greta Thunberg, the Swedish climate activist, was, quote, kidnapped, end quote, earlier this week after her Gaza-bound resistance yacht was intercepted by Zionist occupational forces. The torture began almost immediately. Thunberg, who suffers severe mental anguish on account of being passionate about climate change, was ruthlessly taunted by her militant captors. They offered her water in a plastic bottle, a major contributor to ocean pollution and fossil fuel consumption. Great stuff. And it goes on from there. I want to share more of that with you because it's funny, and they did a great job at the Free Beacon. And great stuff, I've got to say, by Andrew Stiles. Wonderful work. I've got more from that article. Poor Greta Thunberg. She's in France now, having to eat baguettes and brie cheese, maybe a not-so-fussy white Chardonnay, not in a cardboard box like Hillary Clinton. You know that the big wireless company, the big cell phone companies are pulling one over on all of us. It's time to switch to consumer cellular. Listen, I've got consumer cellular, and I'm getting the same fast, reliable, nationwide big wireless coverage without the big wireless money that costs, But it's not just about saving money on my cable bill. It's about getting, used by the big phone companies. You even know how much data you use every month? Most people over 50 use less than 8 gigs of data in a month, but big wireless, they want to shove you into an unlimited plan because they need you to redistribute your payments to cover the cost of young people who use a lot more data than you do. Consumer Cellular set me up with a service and an incredible phone to try, and boy, it's amazing. Taking photos is unbelievable, and it's easy to switch. All you do is you make a phone call. You talk to an actual person. And that person is based right here in the United States of America, not a bot, not on a space platform, not in Asia. Real human beings right here in the United States. Incredibly helpful. It only takes you about 20 minutes. So give them a call. Save a lot of money. Get a better phone. Get a better service. Make the switch today. Call 800-760-0702. That's 1-800-760-0702. Yes, sir. Yeah, I've got more on Greta Thunberg and the Democrats. Everywhere you look, they're doing wackadoodle things.
There's only one Chris Plant. The Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
This is the story of the one. As a quality technician in a food processing center, she knows that making the right call is the best way to avoid a recall. That's why she trusts Grainger's world-class supply chain to deliver the high-quality supplies she needs to help keep her production line, her equipment, and her customers happy and healthy. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The fear of injections and their side effects keeps some people from getting their hepatitis C cured, but that's just old news about other medicines. The good news is today's Hep C treatments are different. They're not injections, often are just one pill daily, and don't have the harsh side effects of previous medicines. So don't be afraid to talk to a healthcare provider about getting your Hep C cured. To learn more, visit treathepcnow.com.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price of participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or in third-party delivery platforms.
Honey, can you lock the door?
You got it.
There's a big difference between pretty good protection.
All of the locks, please.
System armed.
And superior protection. Castrol GTX Full Synthetic is engineered for superior protection in 7 critical areas. Castrol GTX Full Synthetic. Better oil for superior protection.
Intruder detected. Initiating flamethrowers.
Dinner time. It's more than just a meal. It's when work comes to a halt, where macaroni masterpieces are made and little moments turn into lasting memories. With the Blue Cash Preferred card, you can get 6% cash back at U.S. supermarkets. You can bring home the flavors that bring everyone together. We did say everyone. Make the special moments even more rewarding. Learn more at americanexpress.com/explore-BCP. Terms and cashback cap apply with Blue Cash Preferred.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in tax debt? You're not alone, and we can help. At Tax Relief Helpers, we work directly with the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax burden. The consultation is free, and the savings could be life-changing. Call 866-333-01771 now. That's 866-333-01771, or visit taxreliefhelpers.com. Don't wait. Relief could be just one call away.
Hey, Tinsley, why don't we use EasyCater to order food for staff lunches?
Because my 46-page acronym system is so easy. I just have to salad, stay alert to late arriving deliveries, pie, put in expenses, and Google Pie. Go out and get everyone's preferences and allergy information.
That's supposed to be simple?
No, simple is Steve, Irma, and Margie prefer lasagna and empanadas.
OMG.
No need to make work life more complicated.
When you get hurt at work, Carruthers and Clough goes to work for you. They're researching, interviewing, gathering facts, and doing all they can to help you get back on your feet. They work and you recover. You can focus on getting healthy and returning to work because Carruthers and Clough are doing the hard work for you. Ask a friend. Ask your family. Who would they call for help with workers' compensation? Carruthers and Clough. Go to nylawcc.com and contact Carruthers and Clough. We work, you recover.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wednesday on the Derek Hunter Show, there's a big parade coming up this weekend to celebrate America, and liberals hate the idea. We'll talk about it. 3 o'clock on WMAL.
MacGyver, not a TV star. Democrat member of Congress who assaults federal officers for enforcing the law. She's a communist big dog. Got an update on her. She should be going to the penitentiary for the rest of her natural life. The polling numbers not looking good for the Democrats. And back to Greta von Thunberg in a little bit, too. We got all them. And Mailbag Day. Right now, let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Robert, calling from the great state of Arkansas. Roberto, you're on the Chris Plank Show.
Good day, Mr. Chris Plant. You were talking about the calling out troops and all of those things just a minute ago. In 1957, in Little Rock, Arkansas, there was what is known in Arkansas as the Central High Crisis, and President Dwight D. Eisenhower called out the National Guard in order to block the Little Rock 9 black people from going to that high school. It's fun how the narrative, presidents can't call out these things, but they have, certainly in the past.
Well, and you're right, of course, 1950. And it was a Democrat governor, Orville Faubus, that was standing in the schoolhouse door at Central High, if I remember correctly. And Dwight Eisenhower, Republican president, I think he sent the 101st Airborne down rather than the National Guard, but they'll do.
This is the Chris Plant Show.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News at 10:30. Good morning. I'm John Matthews. President Trump says the United States will get magnets and rare earth minerals from China under a new trade framework, and tariffs on Chinese goods will total 55%. In return, the U.S. will allow Chinese students to attend American colleges and universities. Mr. Trump says the framework subject to final approval by both him and Chinese President Xi Jinping. Elon Musk has written on X he regrets some of his recent posts about the president and that he went too far. Musk earlier deleted a post in which he claimed without evidence the government was concealing ties between the president and pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. D.C. police waiting out a man who climbed partway up a broadcast tower on the campus of American University in Northwest D.C. that is used by the school's radio station along with other broadcast operations and cell phone companies. He's been up there since yesterday afternoon. Police are treating this as a barricade situation. Traffic and weather next.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle, founder of Blindster.com. I started Blindster in 2010 to make quality, custom-made blinds affordable to everyone. Traditional window covering retailers are expensive. Our prices are low, and our blinds are guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
Steve Hirschhorn in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
On the inner loop of the Beltway in Virginia, northbound 495, very heavy and slow from 66 up to Georgetown Pike. On the outer loop, in delays from the 270 spur down to the work zone after the George Washington Parkway in the right lane. Also on the outer loop, expect to find it slow from the Dulles Toll Road down toward Route 7. There was an earlier broken down vehicle after Route 7 on the outer loop that just got cleared away. Route 50 Arlington Boulevard westbound after Nutley Street. Right lane is closed with construction. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Sunny and 87 today. It is 79 at Reagan National. John Matthews, News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Sponsored by Rumble. Join millions who trust Rumble's top live streaming personalities to break down the news that matters in real time. Miss the live stream? Catch the full video replay on demand with zero censorship. Download the Rumble app from your Apple Play or Google Play store today and choose from thousands of creators covering everything from financial markets to daily events and more. Choose an open internet and free expression. Choose rumble.com today.
With the Platinum Card, unlock over $1,500 back in value annually on select purchases across travel, entertainment, and dining. Platinum Card membership for a trip that's next level. Learn more at americanexpress.com/explore-platinum. Terms apply.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in tax debt? You're not alone, and we can help. At Tax Relief Helpers, we work directly with the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax bill. The consultation is free, and the savings could be life-changing. Call 866-333-01771 now. That's 866-333-01771. Or visit taxreliefhelpers.com. Don't wait. Relief could be just one call away.
Father's Day in America, a time to honor all fathers. As a Christ-centered leader of your family, your dedication to protecting them and raising strong children is admirable. You model what it means to persevere through discipline to achieve your goals. GCU proudly supports you as you make time for what matters most. Happy Father's Day from Grand Canyon University.
Thirsty for the most refreshing refreshment the world has ever known? Come to McDonald's. For just $1.99, you can slow sip a small strawberry banana smoothie, caramel frappe, frozen Fanta blue raspberry, and a whole lot of other drinks that are cooler than a penguin breakdancing. That's right, ice cold liquid elation for $1.99. So head to McDonald's because your drink is waiting. Sip, sip, hooray. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
When something happens to your car, you might say, but what you really need to say is something that can actually help.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
And just like that, State Farm is there to help you file your claim right on the State Farm mobile app. So just remember, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hear that? That's another person discovering today's hepatitis C medicines have cure rates of 95% or higher, and some are just one pill daily. Hep C medicines are also covered by most health insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid, so qualified patients may pay as little as $5 for a copay. Stop waiting and get your Hep C cured. What a great idea! To learn more, visit treathepcnow.com.
WMAL, making sense of mainstream media because the double standard is real. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Now, our friend Vivek Ramaswamy was on the television last night, and he was talking about President Trump calling up the National Guard and then calling up some Marines out of Camp Pendleton in Southern California because the Democrats are rioting and burning, and the Democrats were not sending in the police to protect federal facilities and federal officers because they're communists and they're not on the side of civilization. You know, that kind of thing. But Vivek Ramaswamy, very smart man. I'm going to have to correct him, I believe, on a thing or two here. But Vivek Ramaswamy, putting in some historical context, which I'll try to clean up.
I know Gavin Newsom, his behavior is starting to resemble that of another Democratic governor from U.S. history by the name of George Wallace, who was the governor of Alabama, who famously stood in the way of federal desegregation. And in 1963, President John F. Kennedy had to deploy the National Guard of Alabama, just like President Trump is doing today.
Now, I believe, and I keep hearing this, it's been since the 1960s that a president called up the National Guard without the governor cooperating. Now, what Vivek said, I believe that it was actually Lyndon Baines Johnson, LBJ, not JFK, and that it was 1965 and not 1963 when LBJ called up the National Guard. When the Democrat, racist, segregationist Democrat, naturally, Governor George Wallace was standing in the schoolhouse door at University of Alabama, and LBJ, who was well known for using racial slurs, he himself a Democrat, and President of the United States from Texas, and he became president when a communist shot John F. Kennedy in the head in Dallas, Texas in 1963. But the New York Times, corrupt as they are, they've got a story on it today. Here's what happened when President Johnson bypassed a governor to deploy the National Guard. And it was very uncomfortable for them to have to come out against any Democrat president. But Vivek Ramaswamy yesterday, a very smart man, a very knowledgeable man. But I don't know how he got this one mixed up.
The parallels are actually pretty striking if you think about it. Democrat governors, when you look at George Wallace, he resisted desegregation. Gavin Newsom is resisting deportations. George Wallace wanted segregated cities. Gavin Newsom wants sanctuary cities. George Wallace stood in the school door blocking the way. Gavin Newsom is blocking the ICE vans.
Blocking the ICE vans, Gavin Newsom. And the Democrats, they love everything bad, everything bad. Before Saturday, the New York Times says, the last time a president sent guard troops in to deal with civil unrest without cooperation from the state's governor was 1965, the New York Times. And they've got a Democrat typing it up on behalf of the Democrat Party. I was reading this story aloud this morning to Michael Piercy from the New York Times, and I kept looking for the word Democrat. And hey, wait a minute, where are they going to say that George Wallace is a Democrat? And I kept reading, and then using Al Gore's amazing internet and a computer here, I searched for the word Democrat in the story, and the word Democrat doesn't appear in the story because the filthy, corrupt terrorists at the New York Times are not telling the truth, even when they're trying to tell the truth. Isn't that amazing? It was March 1965, on the eve of the momentous Civil Rights March from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama. Tensions between protesters and law enforcement officers had been rising across the South. The president was at odds over voting rights with the governor he considered to be a recalcitrant political adversary. This is where you mentioned that they're both Democrats. But the New York Times doesn't do that because they're racists. And that's only part of it. To protect demonstrators against violence. Hey, wait a minute. Who was being violent? The demonstrators. Oh, man. President Lyndon B. Johnson did something presidents rarely do, : they love their colons. He invoked his legal authority to activate and deploy the National Guard without cooperation of the state's governor. In this case, Governor George Wallace of Alabama, one of the nation's most prominent segregationists. Hey, they still haven't mentioned that he's a Democrat. Isn't that amazing? God, it's good to be a Democrat, isn't it? Before Saturday, that was the last time a president used his limited executive authority to bypass a state governor and dispatch the state's National Guard himself to deal with civil unrest. Well, that's because Gavin Newsom was letting the rioting and the attacks on federal buildings. You know, the Democrats did this in Seattle and in Portland, and the, a 100-day siege, George Floyd, of the Mark O. Hatfield Federal Courthouse. And they abandoned the police department, the police station, and in Portland, Oregon, and the Democrats burned it down and firebombed it and attacked it and so on. So the New York Times is trying to tell the truth, but they don't know how. They really don't know how. It happens at the request of the state governor, normally, who commands the troops, and presidents do not interfere. Sure, except when you racist Democrats, and by the way, Joe Biden railed about how he didn't want his kids going to school in a racial jungle when they were integrating the schools in Delaware. But that doesn't stick to his permanent record because the New York Times is that powerful and that corrupt, that sinister and that corrupt. Isn't that amazing? On Sunday morning, though, hundreds of California National Guard troops arrived in Los Angeles. and hundreds more were on the way at President Trump's direction. The New York Times wants more violence. I went looking. I'm looking for the reference to as being a Democrat. I searched for the word Democrat, and in the very bottom of the story, he had an example of this. President George W. Bush decided against taking control of the National Guard in Louisiana after Hurricane Katrina in 2006, after the state's Democratic governor, Kathleen Blanco, objected. And then there were murders, and there was looting, and there was anarchy and chaos because the Democrat governor, and that's the only mention of the word Democratic, and she's the hero of the story because she rejected. President Bush wanted to bring National Guard in because Kathleen Blanco, a criminal, and then, of course, the mayor of New Orleans ended up in prison for decades. He's a Democrat, too, because of the corruption. C. Ray Nagin and Democrat. This is the only mention. The news media couldn't be more corrupt if they wanted to be more corrupt. Aren't they amazing? Yes, they are. You bet your bottom dollar they are. All right, it is Mailbag Day. Mailbag Day here on the Chris Plante Show, as it is every Wednesday. And I've got mailbag questions in front of me right here that I want to share them with you. I want to share the questions and the answers. Michael Piercy has prepared, and I have one postcard from the fan club in Charleston, South Carolina, as one of our through the U.S. mail that I wanted to share with you in our mailbag section today, our mailbag Wednesday. Now, first question from the mailbag. Blake 33 asks, President Trump just had a special cabinet meeting at Camp David. Have you ever been there? What is it like? I am sorry to have to answer this question because I've never been to Camp David. President Trump really should invite me and my best girl for a weekend to stay in one of the cabins there. I've been to a lot of places, been into a lot of interesting rooms, but I have never been to Camp David. That doesn't mean that I wouldn't like to be invited. You know, you can't just crash the place. You have to be invited. And President Trump should feel free to invite me and my best girl. We won't break anything. It'll be real good. But I'd love to go to Camp David. I've always wanted to go to Camp David. Named, of course, for David Eisenhower by Dwight Eisenhower, who we were just talking about because he sent the 101st Airborne down to Little Rock, Arkansas to move Democrat Governor Orville Faubus out of the front door at Central High, where he was denying entry to African-American to black students there because the Democrats are all racist, segregationists. Now they have segregated graduations on college by race on college campuses and segregated dormitories by race because the Democrat Party is racist. But thank you, Blake. It's because I got my wish to be invited to Camp David out there, thanks to Blake's question. Jason Kirk asks the second question today. What's the chance that some asshat Democrat tries to have a Tiananmen Square moment at the Army's birthday parade? That is a fun question because Michael Piercy actually shared with me yesterday on our group thread with Kevin and with Randy a tweet that was being distributed yesterday by lefties. And the lefties put out a tweet with a picture of Tiananmen Square. And I don't know if you saw this, Jason Kirk, but Michael shared it with me, and I've shared it with a couple of other people. Tiananmen Square, and these lefties say, anyone want to do this on Constitution Avenue with the guy in China fighting against communism? Now the Democrat Party is communism. The guy standing in front of the tank. The the Chinese communists, they killed thousands of students the day after this man, or the day of this man standing in front of the tank in Tiananmen Square, fighting against totalitarianism. The Democrats are totalitarianism, but the left is inciting all kinds of mayhem. Now, I heard on WMAL radio on the news yesterday that my mothership station, that the big fences have been put up down along the parade route because they know the left is a violent criminal mob, and that's the Democratic Party from top to bottom. And so they are preparing for mayhem, and my best girl and I, we plan on going down there because we love, we love Democrat Party mayhem. And maybe if we can, we'll find a rooftop with cocktails and stuff, and we can watch from there. Our friend Corey is having a rooftop party during the parade too, and we're trying to figure out. But we want to be there for the mayhem. What are the chances some Democrat asshat will have Tiananmen Square moment? I think, Jason, the chances are pretty good. The chances are pretty good that the Democrats will disrupt because it's the U.S. military and it's Trump, and they're a violent mob of mental cases. So there's that. Now, Charles asks, are Democrats immoral or amoral? And which is worse? Chris, you're the only person I trust to honestly answer this question. P.S. My wife and I listen to you every day. Then laugh at your magnificent wit in Pillow Talk. Oh, that's nice. That's the first time I'm reading these questions. So that's really fun. Charles, I would say that the Democrats are both immoral and amoral. They're anti-moral. They're contemptuous of morality. In fact, didn't we have, Gavin Newsom yesterday talking about the morality of the riots? And a couple of Democrats have used the word moral when talking about the riots. Charles, I don't want to, give you a short shrift here, but I think immoral and immoral, they're anti-moral, which is another category altogether. I'm very happy to hear that you and your wife laugh, Pillow Talk. That's wonderful stuff. That's great. Yeah, the Democrats they're not moral. They're anti-moral. If you are moral, they are anti-you because they're not liberals. They're the left. Thank you, Charles. VRWC, that's the vast right-wing conspiracy, my abbreviation. VRWC, I'll assume my friend Greg Mueller, one of the founders of the vast right-wing conspiracy, according to Hillary Clinton. Good morning, Chris. Why weren't all those environmentalists on fire after seeing those AI taxis in LA churning out tons of toxins and all kinds of other pollutants after being ignited by a handful of idiots? Well, it's because they're hypocrites. They're frauds. They're duplicitous. They're two-faced. They don't really believe the things they claim to believe, that they say they believe. They're hypocrites and liars. And they are lefties burning these things. And, why aren't they upset about burning all the Teslas? And it's because they're liars and frauds like Greta Thunberg. Like Greta Thunberg, I've got to say. Like all of them. And they don't really, and they're self-immolating. The first one that self-immolated at the Supreme Court because on Earth Day, because he was upset about people putting smoke in the air. And then he made himself into smoke and put himself in the air to protest on Earth Day, honestly, because they're mental. They're mental. And then our friends in the fan club in Charleston, South Carolina, mailbag question. Are you Catholic? Yes, I am. Do you have any historical interest in the Knights Templar? The Knights Templar. Of course I do. The famous, wonderful Knights Templar from the Middle Ages. And Michael Piercy and I were talking about this morning. Friday the 13th being an unlucky date comes from the Knights Templar being targeted by, I think it was the King of France and the Pope at the time, kind of perpetrating a massacre of the Knights Templar I think it was 1307, right? I actually looked it up this morning, not entirely off the top of my head. Friday, October 13th, 1307, when the Pope Clement and the Fifth of the Vatican and King Philip IX of France, there was a massacre and a lot of them were executed. And they're fascinating. Yeah, they would escort the faithful to the Holy Land and back, the Knights Templar. Amazing. I'm also interested in the Knights of Malta because I love that movie, The Maltese Falcon, with Humphrey Bogart and stuff. And I have a life-size replica of the Maltese Falcon at my home. on a shelf, my Maltese Falcon. Yeah, the knights in the Middle Ages. And Rome, I love the Roman Empire too. It still affects us every day here in the United States. It does. And that is our mailbag for today. Thank you very much for your contributions. Great stuff as always from our wonderful listeners, our great American listeners, and listeners from all over the world. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier is finally available to all of us. It builds on the incredible success of the previous generations, and those earned thousands of five-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet, became a bestseller. The new Thunderstorm uses two technologies that studies have demonstrated help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses floating in the air. Also, removes dust and pet stuff and smoke and everything else from the air that you breathe and gets rid of any odor, lickety-split. The Thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell, guaranteed. Trash can, cigarette smoke, musty basements, left-wing protesters, smelly shoes, no match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. And right now, because you know me, you can save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for a whole home protection. Put one in your basement, your bedroom, your teenager's room, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code CHRIS3, CHRIS, and the number 3 to save $200 on 3 Thunderstorms. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS3. Yes, sir. All right, we've got a lot more crazy still coming up, thanks to the Democrat Party.
You're listening to The Chris Plant Show.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news. Making sense of the headlines, making sense of your world. WMAL's Vince Colonnades.
Thank you for all you do on the radio show.
What a nice call. Thank you very much.
Weekdays, noon to 3. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
I'm Brent, and I've been on Nutrafol for almost 5 years now. When my hair first started thinning, I wanted to attack the problem head on. I liked Nutrafol because it was a hair growth supplement that was completely drug-free. After 3 months, my hair got stronger and thicker, which gave a huge boost to my social life. I mean, it was life-changing, to be honest.
Hero starts from the inside at Nutrafol.com. That's Nutrafol.com. Real customers were compensated to share their stories.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Buying a new car might make you say things like,
I can't believe it.
Seriously, it's ours? Is this real life? Yeah, it's real life, all right.
but what you really need to say is something that can protect your new ride.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Yep, we're here to help you choose the coverage you need. So just remember, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois.
What would you do if your online store converted 36% more shoppers? You could take 36% more vacation.
Another pina colada? Yes, please.
Open a new retail location with 36% more square feet.
Fantastic.
Hire 36% more help.
You're hired and you're hired.
Shopify has the world's best converting checkout, up to 36% better than other e-commerce platforms. What you do with those extra sales is up to you. Switch to Shopify today at shopify.com/Pandora and get a $1 trial. Shopify.com/Pandora.
At Average Al's Furniture Warehouse, our sofas have cushions, our tables have 4 legs, our recliners recline. So come on by for a perfectly average experience.
Cumulus Digital doesn't stop at average. We work with more than 4,000 local businesses every month, delivering campaigns that beat industry averages by over 25%, driving real, measurable growth. You're not average. Your results shouldn't be either. Visit cumulusdigital.com to start outperforming today.
Why did I wait so long to see a retina specialist?
Retinal disease can steal your eyesight, but it doesn't have to. Patients who seek care from a retina specialist have the best chance of preventing vision loss due to age-related macular degeneration or diabetic retinopathy. AMD symptoms to look out for are distortion or warping of straight lines, as well as blurred or loss of central vision. Patients with diabetic retinopathy should seek treatment if they notice the appearance of spots or floaters or blurred and distorted vision. Visit seeforalifetime.org.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
WMAL, making sense of the border, because laws either matter or they don't. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
All right, we have some historical record correction to engage in here. Let us go to, thanks the New York Times. Let us go to Alan calling from Germantown, Maryland. Alan, you're on the Chris Plank Show.
Yeah, just a couple things. I looked it up, and it was June 11th, 1963, when Wallace blocked the doors. And it was Kennedy that sent the troops. But I've also seen these posts from the left-wing media regarding comparing Trump's actions to Kent State, which of course
that's funny. That's what they're hoping for. That's what they're hoping for. And listen, yeah, I looked it up too. In the meantime, it was true. JFK sent the troops first, and then LBJ sent them later.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News at 11. Good morning. I'm John Matthews. President Trump says a trade deal with China is done, subject to final approval from him and Chinese President Xi Jinping.
President Trump posted on Truth Social that our deal with China is done, subject to final approval with President Xi and me. Full magnets and any necessary rare earths will be supplied upfront by China. Likewise, we, the U.S., will provide to China what was agreed to, including Chinese students using our colleges and universities. He says the U.S. is getting a total of 55% tariffs from China. China is getting 10%. Those are the rates that were previously agreed to, and they've been in place for about a month now.
Fox News' Grady Trimble. President Trump and California Governor Gavin Newsom continuing their war of words as anti-ICE protests continue in downtown Los Angeles.
The president just posted this morning, quote, "The incompetent governor of California was unable to provide protection in a timely manner when our ICE officers, great patriots they are, were attacked by an out-of-control mob of agitators, troublemakers, and or insurrectionists." The president says local officials, including Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass, have failed to prevent rioters from destroying property. Democrats and Newsom contend the president's guard deployment has only provoked the crowd, that Trump has abused his authority and is promoting even more disorder by ordering Marines to L.A.
Fox News' Rich Edson. Bathroom and locker room choice on the agenda of parents at last night's Loudoun County School Board meeting.
I'm here today again, just like I was after the rapes of a few years ago, to urge the immediate repeal of Policy 40.
Another speaker defending the controversial policy.
We need to drown out the politically motivated circus and stand up for trans students.
The meeting lasting over 5 hours with one attendee being removed at the order of School Board Chair Melinda Mansfield, while one young student added,
"Our differences make us great. Please mind your own body and be kind. Thank you."
Barbara Britt, WMAL and WMAL.com.
Fairfax County's plan to overhaul trash collection is now on pause.
Their plans to bring trash collection under county control.
Wouldn't have been able to start for 5 years due to a state law, notes Supervisor Pat Harity. Now there's more time to weigh pros and cons of a unified sanitation district. This after Board Chair Jeff McKay's announcement last night that a public hearing has been postponed until mid-October. It was initially set for June 24th. 90% of the county's homes have trash pickup by private contractors, and a Harity concern is those companies aren't big enough to bid for all of Fairfax.
Many of the smaller, more innovative trash companies that are providing great service in the county will go away.
WMAL and WMAL.com.
More than 30,000 fans expected at Nats Park tonight to cheer on blue or red in the annual congressional baseball game. Congressman Roger Williams manages the GOP squad.
It's a lot of fun, and it comes at a good time. I mean, with all the stuff we see going on in the world, in our country, to take a night off to watch baseball, that's pretty good.
It's easy for him to say he has a perfect record over the Democrats. This year's games raised more than $2.7 million for charity. The Dow is up 179 points. NASDAQ's up 81. Traffic and weather next.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Junk journaling. It's certainly having a moment. What is it? Well, exactly what it sounds like. You tape or you glue small mundane things from your everyday life into a journal. The idea is that it forces you to appreciate the little things. You don't sit down with a pen and extrapolate grand thoughts at the end of the day like you normally would. Instead, you stick a receipt, a clothing tag, a business card onto a page. Maybe you jot down a few words to go with the memento. Maybe you don't. What you're doing is something called romanticizing your life. It's a form of practicing gratitude, actually, something that has been shown to be good for your health. Now, one woman we spoke to about this said these glue sticks are sort of her Xanax. They help calm her down and chill. It's also a great way to decompress and get yourself offline for a little while. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Since 1983, Nissan has been assembling award-winning vehicles for you right here in America. And this summer, we're committed to keeping our lineup affordable and free from new tariffs. That's why we've lowered MSRP on our best-selling Rogue and Pathfinder, so you can get the car you want at the price you want, knowing Nissan is here for you at the Nissan Summer Sales Event.
For a limited time until supplies last, assembled with U.S. and imported parts.
Hear that? That's another person discovering today's hepatitis C medicines have cure rates of 95% or higher, and some are just one pill daily. Hep C medicines are also covered by most health insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid, so qualified patients may pay as little as $5 per copay. Stop waiting and get your Hep C cured. What a great idea. To learn more, visit treathepcnow.com.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Steve Hirshhorn in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
On 95 in Virginia northbound, pretty slow now from Dale Boulevard up to and across the Purple Heart Bridge, across the Occoquan. After that, there is a delay that begins south of the Springfield interchange on 95 northbound to continue on to 395 up to a work zone that is after Edsel Road before Duke Street. Around the Beltway Inner Loop southbound after the Baltimore-Washington Parkway, accident activity there blocks 2 right lanes in delays from Route 1 in College Park. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Sunny but hazy today with a high of 87. Clear skies overnight with a low of 67. For tomorrow, more sunshine. Our hottest day yet this year with a high of 93. It is 80 right now at Reagan National. I'm John Matthews. News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Chris Plant.
Shut down the city. We are war. Anytime a person can pay
That is LaMonica. Is that her name? Harmonica and her twin sister Harmonica. That's LaMonica MacGyver, not from the MacGyver TV show. Not very clever at all, is she? She has now been indicted by a federal grand jury because she assaulted federal police officers. She could face up to 17 years in prison. Monica LaMonica. She plays the harmonica. LaMonica, the Democrat lady. And I do want to clarify because I ran out the clock on myself back there talking to Roberts, calling in from Arkansas. And I got to say, it is the New York Times. I made a mistake this morning. I read a New York Times article, and I thought, oh, well, that's kind of interesting that it was not just this, but it was also that. The Democrats are blocking black people from getting into school is a long tradition of theirs, of course. And I was going back and forth with a couple of friends, colleagues at Newsmax on this topic. And I came in today and I said, well, I want to get clarification on this because I'm not 100% certain whether it was LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, Democrat president who took over after JFK, John F. Kennedy, Democrat president, was shot in the head and killed by a communist that sent in the National Guard over to Alabama, University of Alabama, over the objections of Democrat, racist, segregationist Governor George Wallace in Alabama. And it was a George Wallace campaign volunteer that shot and killed Martin Luther King because, Democrats. And then there was a Bernie Sanders presidential campaign volunteer that shot and nearly killed Congressman Steve Scalise. I'm seeing a pattern emerging here with the Democrat Party's history. But interestingly enough, the New York Times just 2 hours ago posted a story because they're very dishonest people. And actually, they claim they published it last night. But the story, here's what happened when President Johnson bypassed a governor to deploy the National Guard. And they claim before Saturday, the last time a president sent Guard troops in to deal with civil unrest without cooperation from the state's governor was 1965. And they go on and they say LBJ over the objections of Democrat, racist, segregationist George Wallace, Democrat. Did I mention that he's a Democrat? And then, of course, he was shot and wounded by a would-be assassin, nearly killed. George Wallace was. He ran for president again and again and again. And he was shot by an assassin a would-be assassin, who actually wanted to murder Richard Nixon and assassinate Richard Nixon because, he was a Democrat. And you know how the Democrats are. But the New York Times today, with their story, it was March 1965 on the eve of the momentous Civil Rights March from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama. And I was mentioning that, reading it to Michael Piercy this morning. And I said out loud, I don't like to throng my own rhyme or anything like that, but my father, my stepfather, was a CBS News reporter at the time, and he was with Martin Luther King covering the march from Selma to Montgomery. And that's something that comes up from time to time. But the New York Times, and then my father, my stepfather, Bill Plant, who died now several years ago. He also, when Martin Luther King was assassinated, he was flown down to Memphis by CBS News in a big hurry after the assassination. And I just learned a few years ago at the dinner table that he was ushered by the mortician at the morgue in Memphis back to Martin Luther King on a slab after the assassination. And he never talked about that until just a few years ago at the dinner table. And I said, oh, well, that's kind of a fascinating story. Why has that never come up in all these decades? And he just kind of shrugged and said, pass the wine, because that's how that went. But amazing stuff. So in any case, I digress. It's not all about me. It's about everything else. But the New York Times saying Lyndon Johnson bypassed the governor because he is a Democrat. And they never mention that he's a Democrat. In the whole New York Times story, they never mention that the racist segregationist standing in the schoolhouse door at the University of Alabama was a Democrat. That doesn't come up, not mentioned. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? And then it turns out, of course, and this came up at Newsmax yesterday or day before yesterday, that John F. Kennedy federalized the Alabama National Guard in 1963. That's 2 years before 1965, as I count it. And that in June 10th, 1963, John F. Kennedy federalized the National Guard and deployed them to the University of Alabama to ensure the enrollment of two African-American students, Vivian Malone and James Hood, who were being blocked by the Democrat Governor George Wallace. And you can read about this all day long. And they'll never refer to George Wallace as the Democrat governor or as a Democrat because the propaganda is so thick, you need a chainsaw to get through it. From the New York Times, from academia, the first draft of history is corruptly written by the New York Times. The second draft of history is corruptly written by academia. And the third draft of history is corruptly written by New York City publishing houses run by Democrats. So getting to the truth is harder than it's ever been in the age of ubiquitous information. Isn't that amazing? So, it turns out that standing in the schoolhouse door, Democrat racist segregationist Governor George Wallace, a Democrat, had to be moved out of the way in 1963 by troops sent in, the Alabama National Guard, by John F. Kennedy. He remained unconvinced. And then 2 years later, standing in the schoolhouse doors again, now after John F. Kennedy had been assassinated by a communist or by the CIA. Isn't that amazing? So I just want to clarify that because I made a mistake and I said, the New York Times has corrected the record here. But they didn't. They deceived. They denied. And they failed to mention that George Wallace anywhere was a Democrat, racist, segregationist governor who had to be moved out of the way by the National Guard. But never mind that. So it seems like every time a president has to intervene and roll over the governor, it's because Democrat governors are corruptly destroying the world. You know what I'm talking about here? Yes, indeed. So I wanted to share that because that's good. And also, while we were talking in the break, Michael Piercy and I, we were talking about from the mailbag, have any interest? Are you Catholic? Yes. And any interest in the Knights Templar? The Knights Templar, good stuff. And while Michael and I were talking, I was reminded, and I said to Michael, I said, the Saint, which was a TV show with Roger Moore before he was James Bond, and it became a couple of movies, I think, didn't it? Or just one. Who was but the Saint was named Simon Templar, because he was supposed to be a descendant of and have some relationship to the Knights Templar, the Saint. Good stuff. So I just wanted to share that. But we had just started on LaMonica MacGyver. Not a good name. LaMonica MacGyver indicted. The Washington Examiner has the story. By federal grand jury over ICE protests. That was an assault on federal law enforcement by the Democrat member of the House of Representatives. A Democrat congresswoman could face up to 17 years in prison. I think she might like it there. She might find a lot of friends. It'll be full of Democrats, that's for sure. There's no doubt about that. But isn't that great? A federal grand jury indicted Representative LaMonica MacGyver, Democrat, New Jersey, on charges of assaulting a federal law enforcement officer during a protest at an immigration customs enforcement detention center last month. Remember, the Democrat mayor there was arrested. And we played the audio for you when LaMonica MacGyver was trying to crash the gates to free illegal alien gang members to rape again because the Democrat Party wants more bad things. I know this based on everything they do and their policies and the open borders and defending Kilmore Abrego Garcia. And, they love Luigi Mangione too. But this is the congresswoman assaulting federal officers. There's videotape. They curse a lot. There she is. She's a congresswoman. She should not be allowed to own firearms. Don't you think? She should be banned from owning firearms. She's a Democrat member of Congress. She shouldn't be allowed to exercise. She's obviously a danger. She's a violent menace. You will pay. She's abusing her power like the communist pig dog that she is. That's Schweinhund in German, Schweinhund. MacGyver was indicted on 3 counts of forcibly impeding and interfering with federal law enforcement officers at the New Jersey facility and could face a maximum of 17 years in prison. I'm thinking about January 6th and the Democrats screaming about nobody can assault police unless you're a Democrat member of Congress, in which case it's just fine. Yeah, Enrique Tarrio of the Proud Boys was not even in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. He wasn't on the Capitol grounds. He didn't assault anybody. And the Democrats gave him 22 years in prison. President Trump has thankfully since pardoned him, I believe, released him. I believe he's been released. I got to tell you, he's an African American, Cuban American. He'd say he's an American patriot. They go around saying the West is the best and the left wants to destroy the West. But now there's crazy Democrat congresswomen assaulting federal officers, which is okay when they do it. It's the, do as I say, not as I do. Lefty hypocrisy, classic stuff. And La Monica, not a real name. MacGyver, stolen from a TV show. Democrat congresswoman. She is now looking at 17 years in prison. I bet she doesn't get a day. Just like all the rioters at the White House when Donald Trump was in there, 3 days of riots, 180 police officers injured. They're throwing M80s. That's an eighth of a stick of dynamite at the law enforcement. They brought in the pallets of frozen bottles of water, as they've done in Los Angeles the last couple of days. There's a Democrat-funded organization, taxpayer-funded organization that is in the middle of handing out all kinds of riot supplies for violent mobs and, the Democrat Party. Honestly, the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights handing out riot supplies in Los Angeles, and they were given millions and millions of dollars, $34 million in 2023 by Joe Biden and the Democrats. And they are fueling and providing sustenance to the rioters because the left is here. They call themselves the Democrat Party, but they're really not. Let me talk about my friends at Preborn. A recent bombshell report revealed that the abortion pill is literally 10 times more dangerous than the FDA claims, with 11% of women experiencing serious adverse effects. Now, when you take the abortion pill, horrifyingly, to not just the baby, but to the mother, too. Horrifyingly, it's also reported that the abortion pill accounts for more than 60% of abortions, and with an average of more than 1 million babies aborted every year just in the United States. That's 66,000 women that could be harmed by the abortion pill this year alone. Is what they call health care, the Democrat Party. Let me tell you what real health care looks like. Preborn's network of clinics that they help save over 67,000 unborn babies last year alone, a stadium full of people. Once a woman sees her baby writhing around inside of her and hears the heartbeat thanks to an ultrasound, her baby's chance at living a long, happy life can double. One ultrasound is just $28. And $140 helps to rescue 5 unborn babies. Any gift will help. All gifts are tax deductible. To donate, all you have to do is dial pound 250, and when prompted, say the keyword baby. Dial pound 250, the keyword is baby, or go to Al Gore's Amazing Internet to preborn.com/plant. That's preborn.com/plant. Thank you very much. Yeah, so crazy, violent Democrat members of Congress, I don't think they're on our side. What do you think? And I've got more Democrat wackiness coming up, and ABC News, Terry Moran. He's looking for work if you've got one for him.
This is a pattern of behavior that we see from the administration, causing chaos. They can treat an elected official like that at the federal level. They can do anything.
There's only one Chris Plant. The Chris Plant Show.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
You know a safe-ish home security solution when you see one. The stuff that kind of seems like it works, but doesn't. The key under your welcome mat. The security camera that isn't a real camera. The guard dog on duty sign when everyone knows the dog is Mr. Buttons. The thing is, safe-ish doesn't actually keep you and your home safe, but ADT can help with smart, easy-to-use security you can rely on. Don't settle for safe-ish. Get ADT.
Sponsored by Rumble. Want to join 59 million others who are tuning in to a fresh alternative to mainstream news and information that isn't delivered with an agenda? Enjoy your daily dose of happenings from a platform that fights to protect your free speech. Download the Rumble app from your Apple Play or Google Play Store today and choose from thousands of creators covering everything from financial markets to daily events and more. Choose an open internet and free expression. Choose rumble.com today.
From taco night in Tulum to sushi in Tokyo, make every bite rewarding with gold from Amex. Wherever you dine, 4 times the membership rewards points at restaurants worldwide are piling up. Learn more at americanexpress.com/explore-gold. Terms and points cap apply.
Are you an annoying coworker? Sending emails when everyone else is sleeping? Do they ask, how do you sleep at night? Then you should go to Mattress Firm. They have knowledgeable sleep experts that can help you find a better bed, like a Tempur-Pedic. It has technology to keep you cool at night, meaning anyone, even people like you, can sleep. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night. Restrictions apply. See store website for details.
Making sense of your world
On the go. Screen your favorite shows, get the day's top headlines, and access our podcast archives, all with the new WMAL app.
This is for you.
Get the WMAL app on Google Play or the Apple App Store and stay connected.
This is completely unacceptable. High inflation rates are actually preventing people from retiring simply because they just don't know what their money will be worth in the coming months and years. This is exactly why thousands are turning to Goldco, the top-rated gold company, to diversify their savings with time-tested safe haven assets, physical gold and silver. Goldco doesn't want your hard-earned money to go down the government's drain. This is so important that right now, not only is Goldco offering a free gold and silver kit, but on qualified purchases, they'll give you up to a 10% instant match in bonus silver. Don't wait any longer. Call 855-GOLD-IRA. Diversify and protect your savings from an inept government with physical gold and silver and get a return on your money. This offer will only last until all the bonus silver is gone, so act now. Call 855-GOLD-IRA. That's 855-GOLD-IRA.
Creating your own business is everything. Getting it registered and compliant, not so much. LegalZoom has everything you need to launch, run, and protect your business, all in one place. LegalZoom has already helped launch, run, and protect millions of businesses. LegalZoom, now you're in business. Get everything you need from setup to success at LegalZoom.com. LegalZoom provides access to independent attorneys and self-service tools. LegalZoom is not a law firm and does not provide legal advice, except for authorized through its subsidiary law firm, LZ Legal Services, LLC.
The fear of injections and their side effects keeps some people from getting their hepatitis C cured, but that's just old news about other medicines. The good news is today's Hep C treatments are different. They're not injections, often are just one pill daily, and don't have the harsh side effects of previous medicines. So don't be afraid to talk to a healthcare provider about getting your Hep C cured. To learn more, visit treathepcnow.com.
Hi, I'm Vince Callahan, host of The Vince Show and Vince Podcast. It's a show with an obsessive focus on what's good for America. I'll give you the truth beneath the headlines of all of the nation's top stories. The Vince Show is redefining news talk with in-depth interviews, live caller interactions, and a front row seat to the most important conversations of the day, every day. The Vince Show and Vince Podcast.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon. News Talk 105.9. WMAL, making sense of the news.
SweetDeals.com lets you spend less and have more. Save at least 50% on extraordinary restaurant, product, and entertainment deals. Plus, amazing vacation packages. Live large and save money while doing it. Go to SweetDeals.com today and start saving.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
All right, I want to get to ABC News, Terry Moran being let go. They're saying he wasn't fired. They're saying coincidentally his contract expired right on cue. Isn't that great? But speaking of left-wing media and taxpayer funding for terrorist organizations, the left-wing radicals at Mediaites have the headline today. NPR, National Panhandler Radio, suckling on the taxpayer teat. NPR had an in-house cocaine dealer, according to Wild New Tell-All. And again, these are the lefties. They don't want to tell. Veteran journalist Stephen Oney spent the last decade reporting out his new book, On Air, The Triumph and Tumult of NPR. Who uses tumult? Anyway, it's kind of a funny word. On this week's episode of Press Club, he peeled back the curtain on NPR's early years, describing a newsroom awash in sex, drugs, and countercultural fervor. That's still true today. Oney called the organization's early stuff radio revolutionaries. They're radio revolutionaries. A culture of openness and experimentation and monkeypox in the early days. And then amazing stuff. There was a cocaine dealer at NPR in the late 1970s and early 80s. He told Mediaite editor Adrian McLaughlin. He worked there. He was a staffer, and he had a side business as the in-house cocaine dealer. Sure, this is, You could page him over NPR intercom system, and he'd bring the cocaine and deliver it. Hey, when I worked at CNN, there was one of the most senior journalists in the Washington Bureau would chop up cocaine at his desk in plain view of everyone in the newsroom and do cocaine all day long in front of everyone. What was his name?
This is the Chris Plant Show. WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News 1130. I'm Heather Curtis. President Trump says the Fed should lower interest rates by 1 full point in response to what he calls great inflation numbers. Higher prices for groceries and some imported goods helped increase inflation a bit last month. Consumer prices were up 2.4% over May of 2024. That's up from 2.3% yearly increase in April, according to the Labor Department. The price for gas, travel services, and rents were down. Many economists expect tariffs to modestly increase inflation in the second half of the year. This news comes as the president says the U.S. and China struck a trade deal. Tariffs on Chinese imports will total 55%, according to the president. And he says China will give the U.S. magnets and rare earth minerals in return. The U.S. will allow Chinese students to attend American colleges. Traffic and weather next.
This report is sponsored by Erie Insurance.
For 100 years, backing those who protect us by protecting the home they return to. Then, now, always, Erie Insurance.
Here's Steve Hirshorn in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
395 northbound, pretty slow now from Duke Street up to an accident near Glebe Road on the way up toward the 14th Street Bridge. Also pretty slow, leaving Arlington into the district across the 14th Street Bridge. Around the Beltway now on the inner loop. You'll find that very slow from 66 up to the work zone north of the Dulles Toll Road in the right lane. Other direction, outer loop, the right lane is closed after the George Washington Parkway before Georgetown Pike, and that's causing a delay leaving Montgomery County from After River Road. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Today, sunny but hazy with a high near 87, right now 81 degrees in Washington. I'm Heather Curtis on WMAL.
Imagine the hospital experience. There's a constant parade of serious doctors, countless tests, and a serious diagnosis. Scary surgeries are followed by painful recoveries. You're in the hospital for days, weeks, months. Now imagine you're a child. This is why Starlight exists. Starlight programs help kids in the hospital cope, build resilience, bolster confidence, and change their outlook. Because happiness matters. Visit starlight.org to learn more.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months and whose daughter is due any day. We're with all service members and their families. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. You know Grainger offers professional-grade products for every industry, like voltage detectors, harnesses, and hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge, just like you. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The United States Soccer Federation presents the U.S. Soccer Podcast.
The United States have the lead.
The United States in full command.
And didn't she enjoy that one?
Never miss a game.
Look at the pace she puts on this ball with that little slip run. Great first touch.
Never miss a moment.
Get a hold of it.
The back of the net.
Great goal for the United States.
The U.S. Soccer Podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
I've gathered you here today for a family strategy meeting. Johnny, after dinner, you get 30 more minutes of counting practice on iExcel. Meanwhile, Timmy, you get to use iExcel for your long division. Let's do this. Try the learning product Family Stress at iExcel.com.
Summers in New Jersey were made to wow you. From sun and wows to fun and wows. Chillin' wows to thrillin' wows. So come see what your wow's gonna be. New Jersey, it's one summer wow after another after another. Find your wow at visitnj.org. New Jersey, little state, lot of wow.
Take an Amex card with you on your morning coffee run and earn cash back. On a weekend trip, earn miles. See if you pre-qualify for an American Express card with no impact on your credit score. Learn more at americanexpress.com/check-4-offers. Your credit score may be impacted if you accept a card. Terms apply.
This is my new best friend, Esther. She might look like any normal, playful puppy, but Esther's being raised to become a canine companions for independence assistance dog for a person with a disability. To get there, she needs lots of loving care and attention, plenty of exercise, and good eating habits so that she can live a long and healthy life for her future family. Visit cci.org or call 1-800-572-BARK. Raise a puppy, change a life. You can make a world of difference in the life of a person with a disability.
WMAL, making sense of party politics, because somebody's got to hold their feet to the fire. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
They're playing the Saints because of Simon Templar, because of the mention of the Knights Templar. In our mailbag question from the fan club in Charleston, because we love our listeners. Not like ABC fake news. They've got contempt for their dwindling number of viewers. That's why they hired people like Terry Moran, and they fired Terry Moran yesterday. Although they claimed that he wasn't being fired. They just said that coincidentally his contract was up and they weren't renewing. That's what they said. But Democrat Lickspittle, and he's another Lickspittle. Oh, where I saw Lickspittle, Chris Saliza yesterday somewhere too, being an idiot. The original Lickspittle. But Terry Moran, ABC journalist Terry Moran out at network after social media posts about Stephen Miller. And they named Stephen Miller like every household knows Stephen Miller by name. ABC News said it wasn't renewing Moran's contract after he wrote on social media that Stephen Miller White House official under President Trump, of course, was a world-class hater. World-class hater. He's world-class hater. And I told you this, that I heard it reported that his tweet, and I didn't even go look it up, that, because why would I, Terry Moran, that he did it late at night. And I'm thinking, well, maybe a guy named Terry Moran with an Irish background might have been little drinking heavily or something. But at ABC News, we hold all of our reporters to the highest standards of objectivity, fairness, and professionalism. And we remain, that's a prank term, remain, committed to delivering straightforward, trusted journalism, the spokesperson said. The spokesperson, I assume, is anonymous because, why would you go on the record? Whenever the news media becomes the story, they never respond to questions from the news media. But that's your Democrat Party. He said, yeah, Stephen Miller is a world-class hater. And he says, hatreds are his spiritual nourishment. It's not clear whether he's ever met Stephen Miller, but he's seen him on television, I suppose, probably not on ABC. And then ABC News said, oh, yeah, we have the highest standards. Now, just to demonstrate the highest standards that ABC News exercises and that they demonstrate, the great people at the Media Research Center, Brent Bozell's wonderful media research, Bozell Family's wonderful media research center, the MRC, and they do Newsbusters. They put together a little bit of a collection of Terry Moran's greatest hits. In 2006, I'll play them for you now. In 2006, Terry Moran, the now former ABC News reporter and anchorman, very highly compensated anchorman, Terry Moran, with Barack Obama, talking about Barack Obama 2006. Boy, this is a pretty amazing one, I've got to say.
The question you can sense on everyone's mind as they listen so intently to it, is he the one? Is Barack Obama the man, the black man, who could lead the Democrats back to the White House? Around here, they're even naming babies after him.
They're even naming babies after him, the Democrats, rather than clubbing them to death, which they're much more fond of doing. The black man. Kind of ironic, given that they're the party of the Confederate States of America and Jefferson Davis and slavery and the KKK and Jim Crow. But this is a great one. That's 2006, worshiping Barack Obama. They're already naming their puppies after him and things. And then Terry Moran, 3 years later, 2009. Listen to this, is a great one. Barack Obama, who was a backbencher, nobody in the Senate that nobody ever noticed, never passed a bill, voted present, sat there. And in fact, who was it? It was Harry Reid. Harry the Body Reid was the Democrat leader in the Senate then, went to Barack Obama and said, you really suck at being a senator. You don't do anything. You're lazy. You never say anything. You don't have any bills. You just sit back there and pick your nose. Maybe you should run for president because you're black and we're guilty. And here comes ABC fake news, Terry Moran, saying that for the first time, probably in the history of the world, Barack Obama was actually going to have to demote himself to become president of the United States.
I like to say that in some ways, Barack Obama is the first president since George Washington to be taking a step down into the Oval Office. I mean, from a visionary leader of a giant movement, now he's got an executive position that he has to perform in.
Visionary leader of a giant movement. When he was doing that, the camera could only take him from the waist up. Could only take him from the waist up for that one. Is that pretty amazing stuff? The vision, and I don't think George Washington took a step down to become president of the United States. So that's completely fake, and he's just a clown. But I was just reading you about the high standards that they have at ABC News for journalism. This is what they've been doing for years. Terry Moran, when he went over to the Obama White House, he shaved his tongue before he went over there. In 2017, Terry Moran then had a different president to cover, and it was Adolf Hitler. Oh, wait, I mean Donald Trump.
This is why he was sent here by people who want to hear that message of America first. However, it carries with it overtones from the 1930s when an anti-Semitic movement saying we don't want to get involved in Europe's war. It's the Jews' fault in Germany. Charles Lindbergh led them. It is a term, as he defined it his way, but the words themselves carry very ugly echoes in our history.
And it's not our history, it's German history. The Socialist Workers' Party, you guys are the Socialist Workers' Party today. President Trump, America first, but yeah, Hitler and smearing Charles Lindbergh. Again, they love to smear Charles Lindbergh. I said, since we're talking about my family today, I should mention that, my name until I was 5 years old was Christopher Orteg. My father was Jules Orteg, Jr., and his uncle was a man named Raymond Orteg, my grandfather's brother. Raymond Orteg put up a $25,000 prize. It was called the Orteg Prize. Would be given to the first person to fly across the Atlantic in an airplane from New York to Paris or Paris to New York. And that was won by Charles Lindbergh. The Orteg Prize was won by Charles Lindbergh. It was my great uncle that put up, my father's uncle that put up that prize, the Orteg Prize. But they're still smearing Charles Lindbergh and pretty much, and the anti-Semitic movement. Now, you guys are terrorizing every Jew on every campus. You guys are, the Democrats are firebombing the governor's mansion, the Jewish governor's mansion in Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, with Molotov cocktails. You guys are terrorizing, you got these illegal aliens from Egypt who used an improvised flamethrower to set fire to Jewish marchers in Boulder, Colorado. Not a hotbed of political insanity until you guys came along. And, of course, firebombing with Molotov cocktails, an 88-year-old Holocaust survivor. But Terry Moran didn't go on television and talk about how the Democrats are reminiscent of the 1930s and echoes of, and by the way, 20 years after World War I, it was not crazy to not want to get involved in another war in Europe against the Germans again. Just saying, not completely nuts. Hey, let's not go to war in Europe again. Was not insanity, but the left, since they're the Socialist Workers' Party now, and that's Terry Moran. He's a big news guy at ABC News. In 2017, because Donald Trump is president, and Terry Moran. Now again, Barack Obama had to take a step down to become president, and the world was naming their puppies and their children after him, and there was idol worship and stepped down because his movement was so potent that they were rioting and looting from coast to coast. Terry Moran in 2017 on the Trump White House.
And then, in fact, the White House at this point is a laughingstock. That's right. In the capitals of Europe.
Ah, yes. And that, now, wait a minute, didn't I just read about the highest standards, and we hold our reporters to the highest standards of objectivity, fairness, and professionalism? We remain committed to delivering straightforward, trusted journalism. Terry Moran in 2019, when an actual member of a socialist party, Bernie Sanders, who literally honeymooned in the Soviet Union, which also tortured Jews and stripped them of their rights and all that. And you guys are right there with him. I got to say, goose stepping alongside. 2019, Terry Moran on Bernie Sanders.
In 2016, Bernie Sanders changed the Democratic Party. He made democratic socialism cool for millions of voters.
Yes, socialism is cool. Never mind the 100 million dead and the deprivation of rights for Jewish people in every country where they really take hold. And then the year after that, in 2020, Terry Moran, Donald Trump is coming back, and the intelligence community was undermining our elections, and the Democrats, the communist voter, John Brennan, literal communist voter, made CIA director by Barack Obama, who was literally mentored by communist Frank Marshall Davis. Terry Moran in 2020 demonstrating his excellent journalistic skills.
Looking to shore up shrinking support with the white voters he needs to recapture the White House, the president boasted about rolling back an Obama-era fair housing rule, stirring racist fears. Then you guys abort 40% of the black population in the womb every year, year after year. You guys completely ignore 10,000 African Americans murdered every year in the United States, a number greater than the number of African Americans killed in the Vietnam War, but pay no attention to that. And then in 2021, President Trump
President of the United States, and that's this is not good. Here we go back to Hitler's Germany.
Fight for Trump, not fight for America. He has the Republican Party as a personalized power like we haven't seen. It's a Caudillo, it's a Caesar, it's a Führer. We don't see that in this country. We do now.
It's a Caudillo, it's a Führer. It's not just a Führer like they're furious burning Los Angeles, burning another city. Amazing stuff. And then in 2022, they love abortion, especially of black babies. And Roe v. Wade was overturned by a legitimate Supreme Court. They want to pack the Supreme Court, which is what the Führer did. Isn't that what Hitler did, pack the Supreme Court? But Terry Moran, with his little lick-spittle lips, on Roe v. Wade being overturned.
Bottom line, Roe versus Wade is overruled. There is no constitutional right to an abortion. Let's not mince words. Women will die because of this ruling. This is a court not of judges, but of politicians in judges' robes.
The Hobbs decision overturning Roe v. Wade. I had a left-wing professor in college whose name was Dr. Lawyer. Dr. David Lawyer, kind of a fun guy. And he told me in 1980 that Roe v. Wade was bad law based on bad law and would be overturned eventually. And everybody knew it. But never mind that. And by the way, there have been more abortions, I think, every year since Roe v. Wade was overturned in the United States, because the Democrats, they find workarounds when it comes to harvesting the organs of children by the millions. And, the communist Chinese murdered tens of millions. The Nazis murdered tens of millions. The Socialist Workers' Party, also called the Nazi Party. Terry Moran, just last year in 2024, on Donald Trump.
It's much more like sometimes you see in other countries, an authoritarian figure, maybe who has crossed the line of legality, still with an army of supporters.
So, crossed the line of legality. So now you guys are burning another city today. Terry Moran never had any words to nothing like that. Isn't that amazing? And that's, again, should I go back to the highest standards that ABC News has always held their reporters to? And just a few months ago, Terry Moran sat down with Donald Trump, and to say that he made it obvious that he is no fan of Donald Trump would be understatement.
We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because of fake news.
All right. Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst. I have to be honest with you.
Thank you for the opinion.
Thank you for the opinion. We have no interest in anything you have to say. I'm Terry Moran, ABC News. Now he's Terry Moran, formerly of ABC News. Aren't they amazing? All right, let's take a phone call. Terry Moran. So Terry Moran. Oh, wait, you had one more. You had we had Kevin McCarthy, but he didn't make any sense even last night. Former Speaker of the House, ironically. All right, let's take a phone call. Let's go to Linda, calling from Bethesda, Maryland. Oh, she dropped off the line. My apologies. Let's go to Mabel, calling from Memphis, Tennessee. Mabel, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. Good to talk to you. Love your show. I just had a question. All these frozen bottles and everything, where are they sitting around waiting for riots to happen? Who's got all these frozen bottles and then who's transporting them to be thrown at police and stuff? I mean, how does that happen?
Well, it happens because the Democrats have organizations funded with tax dollars that bring in, and look, and the news media has no memory of the last riot, but I have memories of the last riots, Mabel. And the Democrats brought in crates, pallets of cases of frozen water bottles coming from big freezers for the Democrats to throw at the police. In 2020, at the riots at the White House, the Democrats had pallets of frozen water bottles. In Seattle and in Portland, they had the pallets of frozen water bottles. And the news media doesn't notice that these organizations like the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights, which got $34 million taxpayer dollars in 2023, 2 years ago, from the Joe Biden administration, $34 million to this left-wing radical group, Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. And they're the ones handing out gas masks and shields at the riots in Los Angeles today, Mabel. And we have a corrupt news media that doesn't respond to these things, and we have Democrats that are funding it, and then with taxpayer dollars, and then lying to us about it through their vehicles like Terry Moran.
Is there no liability for this? On the part of the people who have all this?
Well, I would like to think so, Mabel, but I haven't seen a lot of evidence over the last 10 years that there's a lot of liability or people being held responsible, right?
And that's all right.
Yeah, that's all right. Mabel, God bless you. Thank you. Thank you for calling in. Very nice to hear your voice. I appreciate you calling in. Yeah, the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights, $34 million taxpayer dollars from Joe Biden in 2023. And they're just defunded by President Trump earlier this year. And they're out there in the streets of LA providing the fodder for the left to continue their revolution against the United States of America, while Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom talks about civil war.
We had people handing out masks and gas masks, and we just saw people graffitiing the sidewalk right in front of this truck.
You're listening to The Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Making a big purchase should come with confidence, not confusion. Car Gurus helps you cut through the noise. Because when it comes to your big deal, you deserve the best deal. It's no wonder similar web estimated traffic data shows Car Gurus is the #1 most visited car shopping site. Buy or sell your next car today with Car Gurus at cargurus.com. Go to cargurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's cargurus.com. cargurus.com.
The United States Soccer Federation presents the U.S. Soccer Podcast.
The United States have the lead.
The United States in full command.
And didn't she enjoy that one?
Never miss a game.
Look at the pace she puts on this ball with that little slick run. Great first touch.
Never miss a moment.
Get a hold of it.
The back of the net.
Great goal for the United States.
The U.S. Soccer Podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Wounded Warrior Project fights for wounded veterans like Josh. Your support will provide free programs and services that make life-changing differences.
It was really hard when I first got home, just to get motivated and get up to do anything that day. But the Wounded Warrior Project and you guys donating lets me know that somebody is still there for me. They still care about me. I haven't forgot.
Please give to those who gave so much for us.
My baby brother, a father. Come on, it's time for his nap. Whoa, he can't sleep on his stomach. Babies should always sleep on their backs in a safety-approved crib, and the sleep area should be clear of blankets, toys, and other loose or soft items. It reduces the risk of SIDS.
SIDS?
You know, sudden infant death syndrome.
Guess I need to start studying up on safe sleep for little man here. Being his favorite uncle comes with big responsibilities.
For more information, visit safetosleep.nichd.nih.gov. Sponsored by the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development.
As a young adult at this point in your life, you probably have a lot of questions. Like, what's next? What does my future hold? The thing is, there's no right answer, only your answer. Your friendships, experiences, and purpose. It's all your choice. So what will you choose? As you make choices about the future, the military can be a resource for information to help bring a fulfilling path into focus. A public service message from the Department of Defense. To learn more, visit todaysmilitary.com.
For a local news source you can trust, visit WMAL.com.
Thank God for that.
Get the day's top stories. Stream your favorite WMAL shows. Access our podcast archives and more. WMAL.com. Making sense of your world online.
Expert entrepreneur Ed Milet is on a mission to max out your life.
I'm going to give you a term, QTR, quality time remaining. Your dreams that you think you're going to get around to doing it, but you don't do very much. Start your QTR list, at least with yourself, and start creating more quality time remaining moments because you've got limited time left. Start talking about it to change your life. Man, it might change the world if we get enough of this out there. God bless you.
The Ed Milet Show. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Why did I wait so long to see a retina specialist?
Retinal disease can steal your eyesight, but it doesn't have to. Patients who seek care from a retina specialist have the best chance of preventing vision loss due to age-related macular degeneration or diabetic retinopathy. AMD symptoms to look out for are distortion or warping of straight lines, as well as blurred or loss of central vision. Patients with diabetic retinopathy should seek treatment if they notice the appearance of spots or floaters or blurred and distorted vision. Visit seeforalifetime.org.
How's it going? I'm having a stroke. Are you going to shake my hand? I'm having a stroke. Wow, you're not even moving your arm. I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST, F, face drooping, A, arm weakness, S, speech difficulty, T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. You know Grainger offers professional-grade products for every industry, like voltage detectors, harnesses, and hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery. So he can rise to every challenge, just like you. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
WMAL, making sense of the economy because it's your money and your retirement. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
There's a Democrat congressman named Jimmy Gomez from California. He lies all the time. And yesterday he was lying to the idiots that are stupid enough to vote for him and believe what he says. Democrat California Congressman Jimmy Gomez, hey, the riots in L.A. are no big deal. It's not like a whole bunch of people were killed in the riots, by the Democrats. Like on January 6th at the Capitol.
You don't have the National Guard that didn't come in on time on January 6th, or you do have the National Guard where there was violence. We did see it on our TV screens. What do you want?
So wait a second. So on January 6th, I was here. There's 50,000 people outside. They were scaling the wall. The police were run over. How many police officers have died in LA? 0. How many people died on January 6th? 5. When people say that Democrats are being
liars,
not consistent, is completely wrong.
They lie about everything. They lie quite constantly. Nancy Pelosi lied yesterday, too, about January 6th. They love January 6th.
On January 6th, with violence against the Constitution, against the Congress, and against the United States Capitol, we begged the President of the United States to send in the National Guard.
Lie. Totally debunked.
He would not do it.
That's a lie. She's a pathological liar. And Jimmy Go, the only person that died on January 6th was Ashley Babbitt. She was shot and killed for allegedly trespassing by a U.S. Capitol police officer. 5 people didn't die. These people are psychopaths.
We are one nation under God, indivisible, together.
George Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News, I'm Heather Curtis. Lots of people weighed in last night as the Loudoun County School Board talked about the controversial 80-40 policy that lets students use the bathrooms and locker rooms of their choice.
Conservatives are drawing up fear around trans people to try to elicit votes in November. Let's not fall for it.
While this LCPS dad spoke up,
it's a pattern of ignoring law, dismissing parents, and putting politics over our kids. It's time to change course. I urge you to this board to replace 80-40.
The 5.5-hour meeting comes as LCPS again is in the midst of dueling investigations involving a girl in the boys' locker room at Stonebridge High School. Barbara Britt, WMAL and WMAL.com.
Plans for a potential trash collection overhaul in Fairfax County are on hold.
Basically, the proposal is to convert from the mix we have today to an entirely county-provided trash collection system.
Supervisor Pat Harity, a public hearing on the county possibly becoming a unified sanitation district, was delayed after last night's Board of Supervisors meeting. In the interest of fact-finding, Chair Jeff McKay announced the move to October 14th from June 24th. Harity cited concerns including small collection services being pushed out of the way and cost.
I've not seen a government solution cost less than a private sector solution in my life, and don't expect I'll see one with this either.
Scotland on WMAL and WMAL.com.
President Trump's plans to convert a 747 jet from Qatar into Air Force One appear to have hit a snag. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says Qatar hasn't signed a memo that would transfer ownership of the jet to his department. Members of the Senate Appropriations Committee asked how much it would cost and how long it would take to refurbish the plane, but Hegseth wouldn't say. Checking your money, the Dow at this hour up 134 points, the Nasdaq up 19. Traffic and weather next.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
If you're as old as I am, you probably remember a time when artificial sweeteners were all the rage. I don't have to tell you, they have fallen out of favor in recent years, in part because research has shown that long-term use of these low or no-calorie sweeteners may actually lead to an increase in eating. Studies have even established a link between some of these sugar substitutes and cancer, heart disease, and dementia. The problem is we humans were never meant to consume so much sugar, real or fake. If you try to cut it out entirely, you're probably going to fail. So instead, try Taste Bud Rehab. That's where you cut back on sugar in sweets and sugary drinks, of course, but also in places where sugar is hiding. Salad dressings and pasta sauce and crackers and chips. Soon, you'll develop an aversion to these things because they're actually going to taste too sweet. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Sponsored by Rumble. From spicy podcasts to wild live streams, there's always something new on Rumble. Watch, comment, and connect with a real community that's actually awake. Comment in the live chat and talk directly to your favorite streamers. Rumble provides you with your daily dose of uncensored fun, facts, and fire. Download the Rumble app from your Apple Play or Google Play Store today. Choose an open internet and free expression. Choose rumble.com today.
Traffic and weather on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Here's Steve Hirschhorn in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
On 395 northbound, right after the Beltway in Springfield, there was an accident on the right shoulder now. Then after that, after Edsel Road before Duke Street, the construction that was there crossing delay was just cleared up. So that's looking a bit better. Ahead of you, though, is another delay on 395 northbound that begins at King Street up to the construction near Glebe Road along the right-hand side of the roadway. Inner loop at the Beltway near the Springfield interchange. It was a bridge inspection crew, alternating lanes being closed there for the mid-afternoon. Then north of that, the inner loop is very slow from 66 into the construction north of the toll road in the right lane. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
We're going to have hazy sunshine today as that Canadian wildfire smoke returns. Not going to impact air quality. Otherwise, highs in the mid to upper 80s. It'll be hot with relatively low humidity. Tomorrow, likely the first 90-degree day of the year. I'm 7 News DC's Eileen Whalen. Right now in Washington, 82 degrees. I'm Heather Curtis on WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. The Vid Show. Rising from the heart of the swamp, A beacon of truth is casting its light. From sea to shining sea, The Vince Show. Here's Vince Colonnese.
All right, here we go. 844-484-3872. That's the way to get in on the big program today. 844-4-the-USA. We've got a lot of breaking news. The President of the United States today has announced a trade deal with China. The market's reacting very favorably to this news, as expected. They want to see things settle down between the United States and China. We'll get into some of that. I like that the president's making progress here. Not sure I love everything that the president has expressed, but as always, I'll wait for more details from the White House on this subject. Also, we have Democrat members of Congress being indicted by the Trump administration for assaulting law enforcement.
Bye, I'm leaving.
That's good news.
I'll be back later.
He's upset about this, so he's mounting a limp-wristed white knight defense of LaMonica McIver. Oh, don't you dare! Don't you do that to her! Don't you pick on